disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to Happy Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I'm glad. That's right, I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you as we focus on a whole bunch of things going on in the boxing world right now, particularly the Chris Eubank-Conor Benn fight, which I'm looking forward to a certain extent, but a couple of things I don't like, a couple of things I dislike. We're going to talk about that plus more. Don't forget to hit that like, hit this subscribe if you have to do so already, and spread that BDA gospel, fellas. You know the drill. Before we get down to the fun, we got to get the business out of the way. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. It's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. A lot of free videos, free content over there. So make sure to subscribe. And you can also donate via Buy Me a Coffee app. Again, that's always better over the alternative, which is YouTube Super Chat. But like I said, the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, and spread that BDA gospel. Let's give a shout out to everybody in the chat. I see we got Sate Soda, Abel, Bray, Gene Ryu, Jr. 33, Knockout Ned, Nightmurph, one of the initiated, Dark Do, another one of the initiated. We got Mars Boxeo, Alejandro Solis, Nightmurph, another one of the initiated right there. Rapax Trucking Company, 10-4. Yo Mama, Frankie Sense, or Science, Hard Recoil, another of the initiated, shout out to him. Quick Sloth, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us, really appreciate it. All right. I gotta tell you, we got a lot to talk about here. Shakur Stevenson, I don't got much to say about him. We already talked about him last episode, but whatever. Let me just invite a couple of people over here. Start cooking with a little hot grease, as it were. Hold on a second. Where's my... I do have a different thing to talk about in regards to Shakur Stevenson, however. Interesting piece of news that's come out in regards to his career or potential career. But before I do that, let me just invite people over here. I don't know what's going on here. Trying to look for the usual group. There we go. Hey, I'm curious. Who's gonna buy the Chris Eubank-Conor Benn fight? Because as much as I'm intrigued by the bout, I don't know about the pay-per-view. It's only $23, I think, but man, I don't know. I gotta tell you, it's still just the fact that it's pay-per-view when it shouldn't be. Well, I mean, I guess it's a. See, that's the other thing. It's a business, right? Boxing's a business. It's a big fight in England, so of course they're gonna make a pay-per-view. That's what the market dictates. But here in North America, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna perhaps watch, but end up purchasing it. I don't know. Let's get on to the Shakur Stevenson thing, get it out of the way. So there was a rumor about a couple of days ago, which I believe was started by Fat Dan Raphael, that Shakur Stevenson was leaving Matchroom and that he was going to be promoted by Lou DiBella on a one-fight basis. And that they were going to go, they might continue the union, but only on a one-fight-per-fight basis. Well, it turns out that that might not have been accurate, might have been false. Over at Fight Hub, they asked Eddie Hearn about that. Here's what he had to say.
You read Twitter. We have a 2-fight deal with Shakur Stevenson and Turki Al-Sheikh. It was with Turki Al-Sheikh earlier for a couple of hours. That's it. So after there's a pay-to-fight, I don't know what's going to happen. You read Twitter.
Have it straight from the.
We have a 2-fight deal.
Straight from the Hearns' mouth. Some people are going to say perhaps, that's what Eddie Hearn's going to say. He's a promoter. He's not going to admit that one of his fighters is leaving him. But for all intents and purposes, he says they still got one fight, that there was a 2-fight deal. They had the Paddy fight, which, if you might recall, was supposed to be the Schofield fight, and then the Zepeda fight, which is happening now. So I don't understand where these rumors came from that he was going to leave Eddie Hearn. Also, why would you leave Eddie Hearn? He's not that bad a promoter. Of course, he's made mistakes, or some of his fighters have lost, which is the nature of the game. Reminds me, I was listening to the 3 knockdown rule from yesterday's episode, and Steve Kim and Mario Lopez were talking about that, how Charles Conwell lost, and okay, he didn't get his ass whooped, he didn't lose every round, he didn't get knocked out, he didn't quit, he didn't backfoot bitch it. So what's the problem? He lost the fight. Okay, the guy who beat him, Perez, lost 4 fights before that. So losses are inconsequential. So that's the same thing with Eddie Hearn. When people go, he lost a couple of, his fighters have lost. And then the worst thing is, I remember he'd matched one of his opponents tough, I think. I forget which one. And some people were saying, man, Eddie Hearn doesn't know how to promote. His fighters are getting beat up. I'm thinking, well, that means he's putting him in there in competitive fights. What, is he supposed to put him in there against scrubs that they're supposed to beat? Then who's going to pay for that? That's not entertaining. So people just don't seem to understand much of the nature of boxing. But be that as it may, Shakur Stevenson is probably sticking with Eddie Hearn. I remember also in the build-up to Jaron Ennis versus Stanionis, some people were saying the classic, I heard that Ennis is going to be leaving Eddie Hearn. And you're left scratching your head thinking, why would he? Some people were saying he was going to go back. He was going to return to PBC. That sinking ship. It's just completely illogical. Why would he leave Eddie Hearn, who's finally getting him more than 1 fight per year, did a good job of promoting over in Philly for the Evanesian fight. They seem to have done a good job in Atlantic City, which matching him with Stanionis. That was also a good-sized crowd. So why would you want to go back to the PBC? The PBC are good at a couple of things. One of them, killing momentum. If you want to go there as a boxer and have your career stagnate, go to the PBC. If you want to thrive and make something out of your career, you stick with Eddie Hearn or maybe Golden Boy Promotions. Top Rank right now for the first time in 50 years, or one of the first times in 50 years, they're encountering some rocky waters in relation to their distribution deal, where they're going to show their fights, where they're going to showcase them, where they're going to air. But I suspect they might find their footing within the next couple of months this year. So that's one of the things that's going on right now. Let me read a couple of comments here. King KO says PBC's trash. We don't even need to get into that. We already know what it is. Don Madrazo, shout out to him, says, Happy Wednesday. Yes, I'm censoring a naughty word that he put in there. Josh says, Blackwell lost. He was next up, mine. King KO says, Shakur begged Turkey for the bag after calling him a towel boy. Well, that's the thing, though. He also apologized, or semi-apologized. I don't know if that Sheik really cares for public apologies, as long as the fighters say the right things to him behind closed doors, face to face. I think the Sheik might be magnanimous that way. But for all intents and purposes, yeah, Shakur Stevenson probably did apologize in his own convoluted way. But listen, that's where the money is. That's where the money is. It's the Sheik. The Sheik decides what he's going to do. He's the one putting up the money. He's not a manager. He's not a promoter. But he is financing the events. And let's remember, if it wasn't for the Sheik, there would be a lot of fights we wouldn't have seen. Bivol Viturbiev, which was unfeasible, seeing as how Both guys were demanding a fair amount of money, and Top Rank couldn't pull it off because they would be losing money on that event. Usyk versus Fury could have possibly happened in England, but it was much more easier to make with the Sheik involved. So we're getting a whole bunch of fights. We're getting Zepeda, Shakur Stevenson. Hamza Sheeraz is going to be taking on Berlanga. Very intriguing fight right there as well. And by the way, I was listening to some people saying on Twitter, like, why is Shakur Stevenson the Zepeda? Why is he going to be the undercard? Which I don't even know if it's been confirmed, whether that's actually going to be the undercard or the main event. Be that as it may, it's going to be in New York, they're saying. So how are you going to put a Mexican and a half a Puerto Rican? Because that's what Shakur Stevenson is. He's only half Puerto Rican. He's not full-on Boricua. So how are you going to put them as the main event in New York? Berlanga is full Boricua. He's got a little bit more zizzle coming with him because of the Canelo fight. And Hamza Sheeraz is Muslim, and I think there's a sizable Muslim population in New York. So maybe that's what they're banking on. Stevenson versus Zepeda could be an entertaining fight, but chances are it could be also uneventful because if Shakur Stevenson ever hurts his hand or gets caught with something he dislikes, like he did in that Katila fight, he'll probably stink out the joint. So yeah, I don't see the problem with having that fight in New York. I mean, that fight as the undercard in New York. But that's just the way it is. That's just the way I see it. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Really helps us out. All right, let's move on to... okay, the Brits. Okay, so here's something interesting. I always try to put the judges on blast. Judges, officials, referees, whatever. So we had the Whittaker-Cameron rematch. Most people agree that it was an early stoppage. Some people say, especially the Sky commentators, one of them was saying, I guarantee you if they would have let that fight go on, it would have been ugly. Well, guess what? We want to see what would have happened. If it would have gotten ugly, I'm paying to see it get ugly. I don't understand these early stoppages. Also, people started figuring out on Twitter who this referee was. His name is Howard Foster. I mean, that's not what they figured out. What they were starting to figure out was they went back to Howard Foster's past performances. Howard Foster. Remember that name? Because he was the guy that was officiating the Dubois versus Lorena fight. You might recall that's the fight in which Lorena dropped Dubois 3 times in one round. Early in the fight, by the way. And Howard Foster gave Dubois all the chances in the world to get up and continue. He also officiated the it was the Mauricio Lara versus Josh Warrington fight. You might recall that fight from 2021. And that's when Lara, out of nowhere, came out to upset Warrington, who was the champion, the title holder at that time. And again, Lara with his heavy fist, he had Warrington swerving all over the place like a drunkard. And what happened? The guy let it go on. He didn't stop it. So we've got a lot of examples of Howard Foster letting these fights go on. But when it's the A side who's in trouble. But when it's the B side, whoops, let me just stop it right off the bat. We don't want anybody getting hurt. That's a tragedy. If a boxer loses, that's a tragedy. Or if a boxer gets hurt, that's a major tragedy. We can't have that happen. But apparently it's okay if the A side risks his life in order to get a little bit of a chance at winning. So Howard Foster, remember that name. We're going to be keeping an eye on that dude. And so will the rest of the boxing world. Because let me tell you something. There's one thing we don't appreciate is early stoppages. And by the way, he's not helping the British stereotype of early stoppages, the so-called UK stoppages. So Howard Foster, big thumbs down for him. And the reason why I mentioned that is because Al Bernstein, former Showtime commentator, was talking about that on his own Twitter page. Check it out. He says, in my long career, I have seldom made comments this sweeping or harsh. But after watching the stoppage of Benn, Whittaker, Liam Cameron, I will say with no hesitation that Howard Foster is one of the worst referees and judge as well that I have seen in the sport in my 45 years of sportscasting. This atrocious stoppage adds to the many he's had before. It's always hard to tell with him if it's bias or incompetence because both have been evident many times in the past. Harsh words from Al Bernstein, who is unafraid to speak his mind, but also quite conservative in his criticism. And so for him to say that, it does hold some weight. Quite a couple of tons of weight, if you ask me. All right, this is the fight here. See, this is Tokeru on Twitter is one of the guys who identified the Josh Warrington-Lara fight as a bout in which Howard Foster let that fight go. By the way, during that fight, they were still wearing masks because they were still in the pandemic hysteria. And so quite fitting that he's wearing a mask, kind of like a robber. Kind of like a liquor store robber, someone that's about to rob a train, perhaps. He's about to bamboozle somebody. And he sure tried to bamboozle us during that fight. What else was I going to talk about here? Hold on a second. Okay, so, by the way, we were talking about Whittaker, Benn Whittaker, who defeated Cameron that day on Sunday. And, come on, what is this? Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. So Benn Whittaker is a guy that likes to clown inferior opponents. He likes to humiliate them. He likes to dance. He likes to juke and jive. He likes to shake his ass during those bouts. And he's also a guy we've identified as crying. Remember that? He was in that... some woman was interviewing him, some UK woman, and she asked him about his dead grandma. Grandmother apparently passed away. And instead of going to her funeral, he decided to go to some tournament or the Olympics, I forget what, because he said that that's what she would have wanted. And then he starts breaking down crying. So this is a guy that likes to clown people. Then when they dare criticize him, as Cameron's team apparently did prior to the rematch, he then lashes out at them, spits at them, clowns the whole audience. And then the excuse from people like Johnny Nelson is, well, he's very emotional. Well, no shit, you're supposed to control your emotions. What's the matter with you? So that's the book on him. And he's taunting the crowd, too, after he beat Cameron. He's taunting the crowd. He's putting his glove next to his ear like, yeah, I love what I'm hearing. And then this happened, which, again, we went live right after the victory. So I missed this. Check this out.
But it was the 6 months out, little things... Stuff like my brother had 2 daughters, and I couldn't really enjoy it too much because what I was going through online.
What I was going through online, he said. Cyberbullying. That's what they call it now.
It didn't really bother me, but it was like even close friends, people that are classed as family left me. They had a lot to say about me.
Listen to that, dude. First of all, how can you clown people, go around clowning like, hey, you're the guy, that irreverent guy, the clown, that, everything, water off a duck's back. Everything, you roll with the punches, nothing can get to you. Well, apparently it did. He just admitted it. So if you're going to act like the clown and the disrespectful guy, you can then afterwards admit that people are getting to you, because guess what people are going to do? They're going to double down on their efforts to make fun of you. And again, people say, well, Cameron's team was talking about him. Yeah, because this guy clowns everybody he fights, including Cameron. So, so what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander? The guy is all over the place. He should just admit, and this is what you learn when you read the Tao, about Taoism. People usually try to act in a way that's opposite of what they really feel. So I'll give you an example. You'll see a guy getting into street fights, right? Most people will look at that and say, wow, what a badass. He gets into street fights. He's not afraid. That's a real man right there. But then it might turn out to be that he's a coward, or he feels like he's a coward. He feels like he's got to lash out at people because he's insecure about himself. So what does he do? He tries to act in the extreme opposite way of what he actually feels like. And that leads to an unnatural lifestyle. And that's what the Tao teaches. That's also what R.D. Lang teaches about the inauthentic lifestyle. So this dude is a prime example, I dare say, of the inauthentic lifestyle. He's, or the opposite of the Tao, of acting in an unnatural way, because he's clowning people, he's shaking his ass, disrespecting everybody, because he doesn't want to be disrespected, because look at how he reacts. Starts crying like a baby. And that's the other thing is, okay, most people that I've seen cry, you can see sort of like the emotion bubbling up little by little, right? So, for example, a little kid who drops an ice cream cone, you look at his face and he'll start, his lip will start quivering, then the faces will start contorting a little bit, and then he'll start bawling. This guy goes from 0 to 100. Check this out again.
But it was the 6 months out, little things.
See that? He seems okay, he's talking, and then from 0 to 100, he starts crying. His face starts contorting to a grimace of muscle contractions like a goblin. I'm telling you, this guy's screwing it all up. Either you act 100% like the clown in front of people, like the guy that doesn't give a crap, sorry for my language, or you fuck it up like this. Whatever. Or you screw it up the way he's doing. What's the matter with this guy? He's destroying his image, the business. And then people clapping like you're reinforcing this behavior. I'm telling you, people don't know what they're doing, man. These people were probably the types of people that were screaming at others when they weren't respecting that 6 feet distance, social distancing. Excuse me, I'm gonna call the cops.
Go back to the old Benn Whittaker, Before the Olympics, I locked in, I trained hard, and I dedicated to the sport. My life was moving, 100 miles an hour. Like I said, I come from a humble household where...
A humble household. He doesn't act humble. I'm telling you, this guy's all over the place. He might not even... I don't know. When you talk about British stars, I don't know if this guy's even going to be an Audley Harrison. Who knows? Let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. What do we got here? We got Super Sardonic says they would have torn him up in the 1980s. Press would have been ruthless. Yeah, that's what I don't get. The UK press, from what I understand, they're ruthless. At least from what I've seen with football players. I mean, these guys, they're animals. And with celebrities too. They'll go after celebrities. They'll make fun of their appearance, their weight, their spouses, significant others. But with this guy, they're treating him with kids' gloves. Johnny Nelson, after the fight, well, he's very emotional. It's we gotta. Anything goes when you get emotional. Well, you're not supposed to spit at people. You're supposed to control your emotions. How many boxers get emotional after a big win? They don't go out taunting people or getting into it with the opposite corner. DJ says anyone is better than Audley. Yeah, you're right. You got a point there. Josh, he says he's got a crystal white girl and did a couple of lines. That's not even 100 miles per hour. Who's he talking about? Said Soda says some people are just naturally unlikable. Hey, wait a minute. Are Said Soda and Josh the same person? They kind of look alike. What the fuck? We're getting attacked by phenotypes. EDS says men don't cry is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I agree. Everybody cries, but as a man, you don't want to cry in public, especially in front of people that you don't know. Shout out to Fu TV. Go check out his channel. Shout out to Fu, a.k.a. Julio. And he says, dude was crying over trolls over the internet. Yeah, there was a meme. I think I don't know if it's a real tweet or it became a meme. But there was a rapper. I forget the guy's name. Big Fruit or something? I don't know the names. It was either big or little something. And he said, LOL, cyberbullying. Yeah, and then he goes, N-word, just step away from the computer. And I said, that's true. That was cyberbullying. They're saying mean things about you. How about you touch grass? Step out of your house, go for a walk, go for a run, do something. Why are you worried about the internet? Bunch of faceless people talking smack about you. Just get up and do your thing, man. Shout out to the Quack, says that next press conference he's going to say he's training under a vegan diet. Yeah, he says he's going to say he's finally switched to real milk. His stomach can finally digest real milk. That's what he's going to say. And then afterwards, when he becomes an adult, he's going to switch to soy milk. What else we got here? Thunderdome Boxing. Shout out to Thunderdome. Go check him out as well. He says, take me back to the 1400s. I mean, listen, he's going a little too far, but hey, why not? Anything better than fucking crying in public because some people said something mean about you on the internet. King KO says he's mentally weak. You know what? Somebody on Twitter said, maybe that's the difference between a silver medal and a gold medal. You just never know. Quinn Lazarus says, clapping for fighters crying. This is ludicrous. I'm telling you, what is this? The press clapping for a guy bawling like a little baby because he was cyberbullied. You know how many people come at me every day? BDA, you're a this, BDA, you're a that. Obviously, 99% of what they say is BS, because I'm above reproach, or about to be, as I'm on the true path of the Crimson Cross. But even if what they were saying is true, I'm thinking, okay, keep it coming. That's good criticism. Now I know what to change. Instead, this guy's going around crying. Woo-hoo. Super Sardonic says, thou shalt not secrete tears. Well, that's a good point. Yeah. Also, if you repress your emotions too much, then your body starts reacting in dubious ways. So let it out, but not in public. Thunderdome says he can dish it out, but he can't take it. Yeah, story of life, right? That goes for about the majority of people. They can dish it out, but then as soon as you start dishing it back, all of a sudden they start breaking down. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company for his contribution with the super chat. He says, men don't cry. Machismo commandment number 10. Yeah, you know what? That's a great point, Rapax. I think you said the same thing last episode, but I felt to bring it up. It's true. Men don't cry in public, I would add. That is the machismo commandment number 10. You also definitely don't cry in front of women, because women can talk all they want about how they like a guy who's sensitive, blah, blah, blah. That's BS. Don't listen to what they say. Focus on what they do. And you will see that a lot of guys that cry in front of women, the women end up shunning them. It's like, because the reptilian brain, their first reaction is, this guy's a bitch. If he's crying over this now, what else is he going to cry about? And is he going to start crying at the most inopportune moment when it really matters? Thunderdome says Whittaker got a gift after quitting like a biatch and then cries, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, this dude, I really, he's lucky that the division is relatively wide open. I mean, Bivol, I don't know if he's going to stay at 175, but Turbiev's old. Benavides probably won't stay at 175. So who's really going to take him out? I think it's too early for Whittaker to get in there against a guy like Callum Smith or Buatsi even. Because Buatsi looked strong in that Callum Smith fight. He was taking some bombs, and he seemed to be able to take him well. So I don't know if Whittaker's going to get discouraged against a guy like that. It's healthy to cry. There's no crying in boxing. Check your underwear on that one. Salute you. What the fuck? The real Food TV is celebrating like he won Undisputed. Yeah, that's the worst, man. Gonzalo said the same thing. He's like, you're beating up on a guy that's a borderline contender, fringe contender, maybe not even, gatekeeper at most. And you're celebrating as if you just won the Undisputed title? Come on. Bentley Sports says, BDA learned the hard way. Oh, no. No, I've never shed tears in front of women. No, sorry, Bob. I mean, other than my mother. But other women, forget it. Even, I think even when you're relatively inexperienced, that the first instinct is do not cry in front of anybody. And then later on, you understand why you're not supposed to. All right. So what else we got here? So that's Benn Whittaker with the bowling. Let's talk about this Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn fight, because it's a bit of an intriguing bout, let me tell you. Again, I am displeased with the fact that this is a pay-per-view, but it is what it is. If it's something, if it's 20-something bucks, why not? Hold on, I'm opening up something here. Meanwhile, while it opens, Ed S says toxic masculinity needs to go. No, I think bitch assness needs to go. That's what I think. Soy people. Bentley says, let's not talk about his second round stoppage. Let's talk about him crying. Why, you want to keep talking about him crying? What's the matter with you? We already said enough about it. Lalo Soto, shout out to Lalo Soto, says, Brass mom doesn't respect him. LOL. I don't know. Quentin Lasser says, okay, Whittaker versus Yardy, Arthur 3 winner. That's a good fight. Why not? I don't even know if he beats Yardy or Lyndon Arthur. How about that? Okay, here we go. So this Conor Benn Eubank fight is intriguing because I don't know how it's going to go. That's what makes it intriguing. However, being pay-per-view, even though I think it's only about $30 here, I might go for it. Probably will. I'm going to cave in at the last minute. But just to show you how thin these guys' resumes are, Chris Eubank to me has always been an enigma because I've said it before. The guy has had quick hands, snapping uppercuts, good upper body movement, but he just couldn't put all of that together. Meaning, if you look at his fights, when he would make people miss, like I said, good upper body movement, but he wouldn't make them pay. And like Boxing Chief always says, the measure of a good fighter or the difference between a good fighter and a great fighter is, can you put all your attributes together in the moment? And Chris Eubank Jr. just really couldn't. And, the fact that he's 35 years old and never has beaten anybody of consequence. Let's check out his resume. Ring Magazine here just recently did a bit of an expose. So, hold on, that's Conor Benn's. All right, so Chris Eubank Jr.'s top 5 wins. Kamil Szeremeta. Kamil Szeremeta, who's just you look at that name on Golovkin's record or Jaime Munguia's, it's just a passing name. It's just a name on the record. For Chris Eubank, that's one of his top wins. That right there tells you how thin his resume is. Liam Smith, again, just another name on Canelo Alvarez's record, or Jaime Munguia's, by the way. James DeGale, some people could say, whoa, hey, Olympic gold medalist, right? He was done by that time. He hasn't fought since. And it's not like Eubank schooled him or anything. It was a horrific fight. By the way, I don't usually brag about my predictions. And I don't even recall who I predicted in that fight. But I predicted that it was going to be a boring fight because both guys was just going to clinch. And that's what they did. It was a clinch-a-thon. If you like clinching, and I know some people in the chat do, go rewatch that fight. Have a good time. Avni Yildirim, again, another guy that was a tune-up for Canelo in 2021. That's one of Chris Eubank's top 5 wins. And then Gary O'Sullivan, a guy that Americans would probably refer to as domestic level, right? That's what Americans love to talk about or refer to UK guys. So there you go. Those are the names of those are the top 5 wins on Chris Eubank's resume. Conor Benn, slightly better, but not even. Chris Van Heerden, I mean, come on, good win. He ended up stopping him. But then there's the asterisk. Was he on super bionic eggs during that fight? Same thing with Chris Algieri. That's a good win. The way he laid him out, if you were tired of Chris Algieri always talking about avocados, you probably enjoy seeing him laid out cold. Samuel Vargas, again, been there, done that, right? Like Spence beat him, Amir Khan beat him, even though Amir Khan struggled against this dude. And good for Conor Benn for stopping him. But I was listening to Food TV earlier with Never Sobers, and he's true. He hit him, Conor Benn hit him with like 20 unanswered punches. The guy never went down. So it makes you question Conor Benn's power. But again, hey, listen, so far so good. By virtue of the Van Heerden win and the Algieri fights, it's a little bit better than Eubank's resume. Sebastian Formella, I mean, that's the guy that lost to Sean Porter, I believe. And I think Conor Benn did slightly about as well, I would say. About as well, maybe. I know Formella did the classic 101 mistake, boxing 101 mistake. He had a long, relatively lush haircut. So every time he got hit with something, even if he was blocking it, his hair was flying all over the place. Makes it look like he's getting hit with significant shots. And then they put Cedric Peynaud. This is a dude that dropped him a couple of times in the first encounter. And then Conor Benn rematched him and then dominated him in the rematch. I'm surprised, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Why didn't they include the Adrian Granados win? Because Granados, I actually think, I don't know this Cedric Peynaud, or whatever his name is. I'm going to say with the French pronunciation, Peynaud. Make it sound more refined. What do you guys think? Shouldn't Granados should be in this list of top 5 wins? Because, I mean, at least Granados, okay, he lost to Sean Porter and Adrian Broner, but he gave him tough fights. There was a lot of clinching in that fight. Seems like neither of his opponents wanted to fight him on the inside. Danny Garcia, styles make fights, was able to stop him. But also you might recall Granados has a win over Amir Imam, back when Imam was undefeated. And you will recall, because this was about probably almost 9 years ago, right? Or am I exaggerating? I forget when that was, but it was definitely the last decade. Some people were saying, Amir Imam was the next big thing. And Granados went in there and wiped the floor with him, outworked him, stopped him. Believe that was an ESPN fight. So, I don't know. I think Granados should have been, or was, a better win than Cedric Peynaud. I think they're just doing that because maybe the fact that Peynaud gave him a tough fight in the first one, and then in the rematch, Conor Benn improved upon that first fight. Maybe that's why it's significant. It's a significant win. But I don't. If we're talking quality, I think Granados was a highly or superior win. Is what I'm trying to say. Fellas, don't forget to hit that like. Really helps us out. Here's the interesting part too about that fight, the Conor Benn Chris Eubank fight. The size. Well, is there gonna? How much of a factor will it be? Because Chris Eubank has fought as high up as 168. Maybe can anyone tell me, has he even fought at 175 at one point? Wouldn't surprise me. Maybe one of his early fights, right? But be that as it may, 168 pounds. I was rewatching some of his fights earlier. I'd forgotten that he'd fought Arthur Abraham, a good-sized, decent-sized super middleweight. And you look at those fights, and then you go watch Conor Benn versus, say, Granados, and you go, whoa, two completely different worlds. One, you're dealing with almost light heavyweights. The other one, welterweights. And I'm thinking, oh boy, that could be significant. Conor Benn stands at 5 feet 8 inches tall. And maybe Canelo lets people think that, oh yeah, if you're 5'8", you can still compete in higher weight divisions. That's because he's muscle bound. Conor Benn isn't. Or maybe he will be on fight night. I don't know. The other significant aspect of the height difference and so on is that, well, they don't tell you here, but like I said, Conor Benn is 5'8", Chris Eubank is 5'11". So we're talking different sizes here, different worlds and stratospheres as it pertains to weight. I don't know, man. I don't know how this fight's going to look. I really don't. I'm having a hard time seeing it. Or visualizing it, rather. The other thing is I couldn't really find much on the rehydration clause. Let me look it up again. Rehydration clause. I call it a dehydration clause. Benn Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. admits he's in uncharted territory with Conor Benn fight day weighing. Okay, yeah, so there will be probably a dehydration clause. And I think I'd heard somewhere that was going to be 10 pounds, right? Chris Eubank admits he's in uncharted territory with Conor Benn fight day weight stipulation, which is what? 10 pounds over the 160-pound limit. Well, that's the other thing, though, is as recently as the Liam Smith rematch, Chris Eubank Jr. was fighting at 160 pounds. So it's not so much the weight of the fight, it's the gosh darn dehydration clause. That's probably what's going to do him in. Because Chris Eubank, he's got a wide frame on him. And like I said, he's relatively long at 5 feet 11 inches tall. But he's got a lot of muscle on him too. So is that dehydration clause going to affect him? Remains to be seen. Let's go to the chat right now. Let's see what people are saying. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Really helps us out. Super Sardonic says, Saunders is legit. Hold on, let me put it up on the big screen. He threw a plate of chicken at Wilder, got his face caved in by Canelo. Though, yeah, Saunders is a weird case, huh? He got that Canelo payday and then he said, adios, I'm out of here. The Quack says, he looked clueless against Saunders. You know what, though? There was a lot of clinching in that fight. Same thing against George Groves. Yeah, those guys are boxing, but I got to wonder how that fight would have looked had the referee allowed Eubank to fight on the inside. King KO says, Conor looks like he's fresh out of jail in that picture. Broughton Boxing says, Junior's best performance was his loss to Groves. Quack says, I think I'm rooting for Benn. Super Zordani says, when's Billy Joe Saunders' heavyweight debut? Yeah, he's a heavyweight now for sure. He looks like Russell Crowe. He's got the same facial type, when they get fat, bloated. You can tell that's beer, by the way. That's not just empty calories, which, obviously beer is, but something about that beer bloating looks distinct compared to just regular fatzos who stuff their faces with McDonald's and all that. Same thing with the gut, by the way. Casamigos Kyle says, you stank. I like when people come up with these distortions, when they distort the names. You stink. Oh man, I'm gonna have to start writing down this list of names. What was the other one instead of Madrimov? Mad Rimjob, Philip Hergovich. I like these names. You stank. Okay, so he says you stank is pound for pound. I'm using that is. Well, in the whole build up to this fight is Chris Eubank saying how his papa won't go to the fight. No, actually, Papa, that's another thing. Yeah, but he says, oh, my dad, he won't come to my fight. I go, okay, maybe he's embarrassed by you. You ever think about that? Cracking eggs in people's faces? What's the matter with you? Thunderdome, shout out to him, says Granados was a beast who got tons of bad breaks. Yeah, that Adrian Broner and Porter fights were replete with clinching. I'd have to rewatch him though, because I don't know if some of that was of his own making. Will Be Done says, make a wish taker, aka Whittaker, is a myth. Make a wish taker. I don't know what that means. Pancho Villa says Imam was a hype job. Yeah, he turned out to be an Amero bomb. Super Sardonic says, what's worse is up until that point, his chin was his best attribute. I don't know who he's talking about. Alrighty. Let's keep on going. This Chris Eubank fight. So I'm interested in the Chris Eubank fight because, Conor Benn fight, of course, because, all right, so Eubank, we know he's fought at 160 pounds before. So maybe the weight making won't be the difficult part. It will be the like I said, replenishing thereafter, because he can only replenish 10 pounds. And you will recall Ryan Garcia, when he fought Tank Davis, there was a dehydration clause right there as well. And he didn't look all that great on fight night or on fight day. There's a picture of him circulating on fight day. And Errol Spence was clowning him, saying, LOL, that boy been in the tub all day. Look at them, look at them eyes, he said, because his eyes look droopy. So I figure Eubank Jr. is probably going to do something similar on fight day. He's probably going to be in the tub, preventing himself from gaining any more weight. I do wonder what the penalty is, if there is one. I suspect it might be a substantial fine. But you know what? Chris Eubank strikes me as the type of guy who would probably break that just to say screw you, flip him off and say, hey, kind of like Daniel Jacobs did to what was it, Golovkin or Canelo, or maybe was it to both? That he said, screw your dehydration clause, I'm coming in replenished. So in terms of the fight itself, though, neither guy is really, like I said, we look at the resumes, quite thin. But there is something to be said about the size difference. Flip side to that coin is Conor Benn is younger. He's 28 years old. Chris Eubank is 35. Probably tired, or probably never really that invested in the fight game. Again, look at his age and then look at his record. A guy who really could have had almost any fight he wanted. And yet his best win is a shot James DeGale. Does that make sense to anybody? The other thing is, he never really figured out the fundamentals. And this is a problem with certain fighters. They're always trying to change their styles during a fight, switching trainers like he does. And it's indicative of a guy who just doesn't have that much of a grasp on boxing itself. For a while he was trying to be a boxer brawler. Then he was trying to be a boxer puncher. Then he's trying to fight like Roy Jones, the rooster style with the hands down. And now, I don't even remember the Zinamata fight. But Chris Eubank definitely is the bigger guy, bigger puncher, maybe even better inside fighter, although I think maybe that's equal. But like I said, will that size advantage not only be diminished and curtailed due to the rehydration clause, but maybe also, like I said, Conor Benn quite explosive. I think Conor Benn has a speed advantage here. I was rewatching some of Chris Eubank Jr.'s latest fights, and there is a bit of a speed variable here. You can note, watch those fights at the same, not even at the same time, but watch a Chris Eubank Jr. fight for a couple of rounds, then switch to a Conor Benn fight, and you go, yeah, Conor Benn is faster. Conor Benn, by the way, I don't know if it's because he fights in a bit of a crouched style, but he looks like he's 5'7", and not even 5'8". He looks shorter than what he might actually be. I don't know. I call him Wolverine. He's like Wolverine. He's short, but he's quite explosive, quite feisty, quite aggressive. So Chris Eubank would be overlooking him at his own peril. Also, we have seen 5'8" guys, when I say 5'8", I'm not talking about 5 or 8 guys. I'm talking about 5 feet 8 inch tall guys do well against bigger guys, against bigger fighters. And I'm not saying Conor Benn is Roberto Duran, but you will recall Roberto Duran was definitely the smaller guy against Iran Barkley. And nevertheless managed to drop him, hurt him, and generally outbox him and outworked him. And the flip side that is, okay, yeah, Conor Benn's not Roberto Duran, but Chris Eubank might not even be an Iran Barkley. Does Chris Eubank even have a Tommy Hearns on his resume? Does he have that big a win on his resume? No. So, I don't know. I think that there's a possibility Conor Benn wins this one. He certainly got the energy. Well, actually, that's the flip side to the coin. A lot of people seem to be pointing out that, hey, Conor Benn hasn't scored knockouts, stoppages overall ever since he got caught with the magic eggs. And it's true. The last fight he had was against Dalton. Mr. Dalton's here. Oh no, what was the guy's name? Dawson? Whatever. The point is that that was a fight in which he got off to a good start, was landing a couple of good hooks, uppercuts. It seemed like he was too quick for Dalton. And then he slowed down. It's almost like he was punched. He tired himself out, landing shots on Dalton. And then Dalton started coming on, landed a couple of good punches. So that's what led people to believe, hey, maybe Conor Benn without those magic eggs isn't that big a puncher or that dangerous a fighter. Flip side to that coin, again, there's a lot of flip sides here. There was a picture the other day circulating about how Conor Benn's physique. He looks like he might be on something. Maybe he's not on the eggs now. Maybe he's on something else. Maybe it's the bacon or the ham. I don't know, but he's looking ripped and ready to go. So he could outwork Chris Eubank in that fight, particularly since, like I said, Chris Eubank never really seemed to take boxing that seriously. It seemed like he was more interested in selective matchmaking and then every once in a while a good fight that would get him paid, like the George Groves fight, Billy Joe Saunders, Liam Smith. But never really pushing himself against a Golovkin or even a Charlo or Dimitrios Andrade. Dimitrios Andrade, well, people would call him a Ameribomb too. That could have been the fight between the Eurobomb and the Ameribomb. You never know. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that fight. I'm very intrigued and probably will be paying for it. Let's go to the comment section, see what's going on. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. We got an empty panel here, so I might be opening up the phone line soon, but I want to see some likes here. I want to see some likes. Where are we at with the likes? Can't even see the like feature. All right, apparently it says we're at 51 likes. This is unacceptable, people. Unacceptable. Let's get it up to at least 70 likes. So if 19 people hit that like, we're golden. We're opening up the phone lines at 19 likes. Otherwise, I might be opening up a book or something to bore you with. Now, some of you might be thinking, BDA, we don't respond well to threats. Well, you will respond the way I tell you to respond. How about that? You get a problem with that, you can call in and give me your thoughts. But first, 19 people have to hit that like. All right, 16 now. 16 people. Let's go. Let's go, fellas. Let's make it happen. Let's see where else is on the news here. Oh, okay. Before, this is significant. First of all, Stephen Fulton is saying he might be done with 126 pounds, even though he just got there. I don't know. Maybe he feels like there's no big fight at 126. Even though I suspect he would get paid good money to go to England to take on Nick Ball. But this is what he had to say. He said, "I want another belt," said Fulton. I'm trying to go up to 130 where I'll feel comfortable, he said. "I'll do it both, but it would have to make sense at 126, he said. Well, first of all, it seems like he wants no piece of Inoue again, and I don't blame him. I mean, Inoue just completely shut him down. At 130, though, I don't know. Already, Fulton is not a big puncher. He wasn't a big puncher at 122. He's not a big puncher at 126. At 130, I don't even know how well he would do there because his advantages are speed. If he fights a guy like O'Shaquie Foster or Raymond Ford, I know for a fact Raymond Ford's faster than he is. And he's going to hit harder too. So is Stephen Fulton that much more skilled than O'Shaquie Foster or Raymond Ford to be able to outbox him? I don't know. Shout out to Revolucion in the chat. Haven't seen him in a while. Shout out to him. Says, BDA, my brother. What's up, Revolucion? Good to hear from you, man. Glad to see you're doing okay. Shout out to Joe, who's back in the YTBC streets. Hey, Joe, you got to watch out. These YTBC streets, they're replete with danger now. We're in the midst of a YTBC war. I'm staying neutral, but people are throwing shade, as they like to say nowadays, all over the place. Different podcasts. He says, stop with the threats, BDA, or I'll take my like back. Open up those phone lines. I might bless the show with a phone call. All right. Well, listen, that's up to the people, not up to me, man. We're at 57 likes, so we're 13 likes away from 70. And then we'll open up the phone lines. But like I was saying, Stephen Fulton saying he wants to move up to 130 to get another belt over there. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know, but we'll see. Now, what I wanted to get to with Stephen Fulton was, in boxing, we were talking about Hamza Sheeraz and Berlanga. We're going to get to that, by the way. But we were talking about how Hamza Sheeraz dropped his longtime trainer, Ricky Funes, who had turned him into a veritable force to reckon with at 160 pounds. And then Hamza Sheeraz, you might remember, struggled against Carlos Adames, should have lost that fight. Had a fortunate to get away with a draw. And, well, he dropped Funes after one bad performance. And he said that, it's because I need a fresh start. Which, I mean, you just started your career. He's making it sound like he's a 35-year-old veteran or something. But anyway, he dropped Funes, and it just goes to show you how a fighter is not the guy that gets bamboozled more than any other person in boxing. Usually it's the trainers. You got to watch out for your fighters because you put so much, you invest so much into them, and then before you know it, they're dumping you. Well, if you're a fighter, it's still dangerous. I'm not saying, maybe being a trainer is more dangerous and less rewarding in a lot of ways. But fighters too, you got to watch out. Sometimes it's not even your entourage. It's your own family. Check out what Stephen Fulton had to say about his mother, his own mother. Check this out.
My sister was crying about it, whatever the case may be. Then
they're talking about he's talking about the Inoue fight, by the way.
Mommy called us, right? Like in the midst of it happening. Like I wasn't out. Like I wasn't, the fight wasn't over yet, but in the midst of me getting dropped, the first time, she called my sisters and said, damn, they go my house.
Did you hear that? Stephen Fulton said that when he got dropped the first time against Inoue, his mother called his sisters and said, there goes my house. Meaning that the first thing that went through her head wasn't, my son, concern for her son's well-being. No, the first thing that went through her mind was my money, my benefits, my house. Where are my benefits? That's what she thought about first.
And said, damn, they go my house.
I read about that.
Yeah, so that one cut me deep because like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I cried about that. And plenty of times I felt like I hated her, but I know I didn't.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
It is. That's something to say. Because, I look at it like, I always wanted that relationship with my mom. Like, so I used to always lean on to my peers, like my friends and stuff like that. Because I see how their relationship is with their family. I never had a relationship like that. My family, all they did was argue, fight one another. My dad used to always say, why y'all argue so much like y'all hate one another? But that's how we was raised.
That's how we was raised, he said. My advice to Stephen Fulton is, and again, I don't know. I mean, I haven't, just based on what he's saying, it sounds like he's living in a bit of a dysfunctional family where it's every man for himself or every man and every woman. So in cases like that, the best thing you should do is, all right, you want to help out your family, that's good, but maybe also keep him at bay because they're going to bring you more problems than actual help. I mean, I don't know. That's the way it seems like to me. Let's see what else he has to say.
So when that happened, that joint took a piece out of me.
Did you address it with her when you got back? Still to this day?
No, I ain't. She apologized for it because
she knew
why. Yes, because she knew why I wasn't talking to her.
Of course, she apologized. She wants those checks to keep coming. Where are my benefits?
And things like that. But she said, damn, they go my house.
Dang.
And my
listen to that voice. Aren't you
fight
sweet?
Wasn't even over yet. You counted me out before they even did this. I forgave her for it. Shout out to my mom. I forgive you for everything you did and everything we've been through. You're not a bad person. She is a good person at heart, but she just do effed up things
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, that's a bad thing to try to get through, man. His mother, that's the first thing that goes through her mind. There goes my house. Jeez, Luis, I got to tell you, be careful. Sometimes the people closest to you got to watch out for them. What else we got here? Okay, so we talked about Shakur Stevenson with the 2-fight contract because Eddie Hearn confirmed that he's still with me. Interesting fight that might have been announced. Again, I don't know if it's going to be ordered or whatever. Gary Antoine Russell taking on Anthony Hiruoka, Japanese fighter. You might recall him as being the guy, his last fight, I believe, ended up stopping Ismael Barrosos in Japan. Interesting take on this fight is, I don't know. Okay, so Gary Anton Russell, first of all, stylistically, this is a great fight. Gary Anton Russell, he comes forward. Hiruoka is a strong guy who can crack. He goes for the knockout too. I don't know, man. I don't know how this fight's gonna go. And that's the other thing, though. Interestingly about that is, well, actually, I'm pretty sure Russell's gonna test that gas tank because I don't know about Hiroka's gas tank, and we know about Gary Anton Russell. Probably, I think he's a snack fighter. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think he is. But yeah, so he's gonna be taking on Hiruoka. This fight apparently might be taking place in Japan. Because right now, I think somebody told me that they lost the PBC lost the purse bid. Can't afford to win any purse bids right now, and so this fight might be taking place in Japan. And if it's in Japan, they don't allow the same type of shenanigans that they allow in the good old US of A. So we'll see what happens. Although even then, the judges still, we had a couple of bad decisions in the last Japanese card of significance. So watch out for that one. You never know. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. We're at 59 likes. You know what? There's 11 likes left, and you guys are still out there playing with your dicks instead of hitting that like. What's the matter with you? If you don't hit that like, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding around. I'm gonna start reading something here, and it ain't gonna be good. What can I? All right. So you guys want to play around, right? 60 likes. Okay, shout out to everyone who's hitting the like, but we're still 7 likes away. We're at 63 now. You guys put me up to this. You got to place me in this position. Okay, 64. 6 people hit that like, and we're golden. I'll open up the phone lines. All right. Here's a little preview of what's going to happen if you don't. This is the Judaism's appraisal or appropriation, of Baal. Textual and artifactual evidence for a native pantheon. All right. To understand the typology of biblical text or typology of biblical text dealing with the appropriation of other gods presented in chapter 3, it must first be demonstrated that the inhabitants of the kingdoms of Israel and Judah conceived of Yahweh as the head of the pantheon they venerated. The size of this pantheon was small compared with the pantheon of Egypt and Mesopotamia, but Yahweh was nevertheless not alone. Oh, 70 likes. All right. Shout out to everybody who hit that like. Shout out to you fellas. You are indeed the heroes of this podcast. Let me open up the phone lines right now without any further prevarication. Hold on a second. And by the way, please don't call in and ask me what's the subject. You decide the subject. You guys, this is your phone call. This is your time. You call in. Give us your thoughts on anything and everything boxing. In particular, I'm interested in whether you're going to purchase the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn fight. And if so, who are you picking? If you're not buying the fight, you don't get to pick. How about that? Just the way it is. What do you want from me? I don't make the rules. I just follow them. All right. Hold on.
Hey, BDA, what's the subject?
Who's here? When did you guys get here?
We're sneaky.
Did you just... How long have you been listening to my BS here?
The producer doesn't even know when people join the panel.
I didn't see you guys because I didn't see it. Nobody. It's been an hour. It's been almost an hour, so I wasn't even paying attention. Okay, shout out to you fellas. We got Jimmy and we got the Chief, and quite fortuitous that I said don't ask me what the comment is, what the subject is, and Chief, the first thing he asks is what's the subject. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, I said that just because you said don't ask what the subject is.
Well, I'm going to open up the phone lines to see what people say, but I was talking about a whole bunch of things, in particular, Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn. That's a fight that's going to be taking place this Saturday. It's intriguing insofar as the size difference. I don't know how it's going to look, and I don't even really have that much confidence in either guy in their abilities. Although they have abilities, but it's just they don't put them together. So that's one thing that sort of bothers me about that. Jimmy, I wanted to ask you real quick, before we get on to anything else. Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson, that's been announced. What do you think about that fight?
I mean, I like it. It's about time. Shakur had to fight somebody. He had to fight somebody that would, I like it. I just like it, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to look at Zepeda a little bit more, but Zepeda's got the power to hurt him. We all know Shakur doesn't like to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. We've seen that, how to what degree he goes to try to not to get hit. So he's going to have to really tie it all in. Zepeda's just got to listen, got to go in there. Don't get mesmerized by his speed. Ignore it. I know it's a hard thing to do. Work through the fucking jab. Take one to the fucking head. Take one to give one. You know what I mean? Eat a stiff jab to fucking throw one of his hooks.
Did you
know
say
what I mean? Try to time it.
Did you say eat a stiff jab or eat a stiff one? Because there's a big
Eat a
difference.
stiff jab.
Okay, because it's a big difference between the. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. I'm just saying.
You know, because that's all he's got, really. I mean, he's got not all he's got. He's got an insane jab, very accurate and very fast. But just try to time it. Throw some feints. Get to see if he's going to bite, on what kind of rhythm he's going to bite or throw his jabs in, and just wing. Because if you hit him and you get him off his game, you get in his head, you can beat him. That's the biggest threat. But you cannot let Stevenson get into a rhythm. If he gets into a rhythm on you, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to rock him early and get into his head. Rough him up if there's a clinch. Fucking maybe a grind across the face with your forearm. Even if you have to take a risk of the ref saying, do that again, he'll take a point. Just whatever you do to get in his head, because he is definitely all about his rhythm.
Jimmy,
what he does, yes.
Right.
A better thing is to do what Oscar and Tito did to Whittaker when they tied up, is to start bouncing on your toes and let your shoulder nail him in the jaw. He'll think twice about holding after that.
Yeah, that's a good
How
one.
tall is Zepeda again?
5'8",
is he a little
I think. 5'9", I think. 5'8" or 5'9".
So about the same height, maybe an inch shorter.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to get a point,
clinch, they usually they don't clinch with their head up. They kind of clinch with their head down.
Oh yeah, no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that as a height questioning, but sure, yeah, you could even be taller than the dude and still get him in the face with, come up with your shoulder under his chin. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Just as long as you're not 6 or 7 inches shorter than somebody, you can do that.
Yeah, if anybody's going to get a point taken away, it's probably going to be Zepeda. Every time he punches Shakur Stevenson, the referee's going to be like, hey, you can't punch the guy. What's the matter with you? I mean, if it's anything like the refereeing for the Farmer rematch, I don't have too much faith in the officials. By the way, we got.
Sometimes have to tell you kids to stop hitting each other.
Exactly, man. Come on. Let's go to the phone lines here real quick, and then we'll come back here to the panel because we got a lot to talk about. There's a couple of small stories spread across the spectrum. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
Los Angeles.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up, man?
Hey, what's the subject?
What's the subject? We've got... Oh, come on. Hold on a second. Did you just ask me what... I'm going to hang up on you, Don Madrazos. That's it, man. Shout out to you, man. Call back the next time. Hey, Don Madrazos, there's some screaming going on in the background. Are you...
Let that girl go.
The fuck? Okay, that was creepy, man. That was Don Madrazos, by the way, and there was
What's the lotion in the basket?
I mean, I think I heard machine in the background.
Somebody got it.
I think I heard machine in the background there. Anyway, point is, go back to the panel.
I do it because I like it.
Let's go back to the panel. And I missed what you said, Chief. I don't know what did you say?
It puts the lotion in the basket. He said.
Okay. There you go. We both got the same image in our heads, man. Don Madrazos is probably up to no good. But what was I going to say about... Oh, yeah, okay. Chris Eubank Sr. he's not showing... He doesn't want anything to do with Chris Eubank Jr. He called him out for Chris Eubank's antics, his Junior's antics of smacking Benn in the face with an egg. What do you guys think about that? You think he went too far with the whole egg gimmick and assaulting a guy in a press conference?
Yeah, it's too gimmicky. It's too goofy. I would imagine. You think Benn was in on it? I don't know. Like, just to try to drum up any kind of talking.
Yeah, you don't know anymore, do you? That's a good point, man.
You don't know.
And by the way, speaking of that, I wanted to show...
Yeah.
What's that?
What's that? Oh, no. Carry on.
Well, the thing is the one thing that intrigues me is how's this fight going to go? Because on the one hand, Chris Eubank Jr. will probably be dehydrated going into that fight. On the other hand, he's much significantly bigger. and taller than Conor Benn. And they had a bit of a face-off. I don't know if it was yesterday or today. They didn't let them get close to each other because of the, like I was mentioning, the egg incident. So, but you can still see a little bit of the size difference, even though they're relatively far away from each other. Check this out.
I wonder how close they're going to let these two get to each other.
Let me mute that. Okay, so you see them, they're looking at, look at that. That's Chris Eubank right there on the left. Conor Benn on the right with the black cap on. I mean, they look like they're in two different worlds, man. Like, we shouldn't even be thinking about this.
Is there a weight rehydration clause at all in this?
Yes, 10
fight?
pounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not good for Ben. I mean, that's not good for you, man. He's not going to be able to take advantage of like he should. Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to say about this fight.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not impressed by either one of them, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like blown away by either one of them. I mean, I think I really definitely like. I don't care who wins. Like people say that, but like I truly don't care either whoever wins. If somebody knocks out each other, I have no emotional skin in that game whatsoever. Because Ben never really. I mean, he's a drug sheet, but I mean, basically that just means he got caught, right? I mean, I think a lot of these guys are doing something. But I hate to throw out shit like that without any proof, but it is what it is. And Eubank just, I mean, I've never get over the loss to Penn all the way back in 2016 when he pulled that shit with Triple G.
Mm-hmm.
When his own promoter, when fucking Eddie Hearn, would you lose the pen? Remember, he had it all set up. He was just waiting for fucking him to sign the contract, and then he just fucking lost his pen. I think that's Eddie Hearn said.
You know what? I lost my pen too when it came to the child support thing. Whoops, shit. Sorry, lost my pen. No, but you know what? It's interesting though that Chris Eubank Golovkin thing. That was actually the smartest thing he could have done in the long run. He probably saved his career. We probably wouldn't even be talking about Chris Eubank Jr. right now if he would have fought that Golovkin back then. I mean, don't get me wrong.
2016 Golovkin would have took his head off.
I mean, listen, Ben has, and I keep saying this, he's got certain physical tools. He's got a good hand speed, a good body attack, wicked uppercuts. But like Chief said, and I referenced Chief, the difference between a good fighter and a great fighter. No, you're welcome. The difference between a good fighter and a great fighter is, okay, you got all those attributes. Can you put them together in the moment under the heat of battle? Chris Eubank, for some reason, he'll make you miss, but he won't make you pay. He'll make you pay, but he won't make you miss. I mean, it's and on top of that, he doesn't test himself. Rumor is he's gone to Vegas a couple of times and just gambled a lot. That's what he was into, just living in Vegas for a while. So he's a guy that had it a little bit easy. I'm not saying he's not a hard worker in the gym because he's always shown up in terrific condition, but just mentally, he's always had an out. If I don't succeed, hey, I can always do this, or my father can help me out, or you know what I mean? So I don't know. It just seems like he never really took it that seriously, his career, which is a shame because I think he could have done better than what he's done so far.
Yeah, I think he personified the fucking mitt dancing. You know what I mean? I think his trainer doing more work than him. That was his thing, like putting on these 30 fucking punch combinations, but then they go in there and fucking lose to a domestic level Brit. That blonde kid, remember?
You know what?
Yeah,
That's
Triple G would have decapitated him back in 2016, and he knew it, and his father knew it, and that's why they backed out.
Probably would have broken something, by the way. Golovkin would have. I wanted to get your opinion on something, too, because Hamza Sheeraz is going to be taken on Edgar Berlanga at 168 pounds in New York. They're saying that's going to be the site venue, New York. Steve Kim was saying yesterday on the 3 knockdown rule that he was hearing, nothing settled yet, but he's hearing it's going to be something exotic, an exotic location within New York City. I don't know if they're finally going to try to pull off. They were talking about Alcatraz in San Francisco. Hey, maybe this time they're going to do it in Rikers or something. I don't know. Pucho saying Central Park. Holy sheesh. That's pretty exotic. As long as they don't do it at night. You don't want any female joggers getting attacked in the park. But the point is, that Hamza Shiraz taking on Berlanga. We'll talk about that fight next, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Hamza Shiraz used to be with Ricky Funes for a couple of fights, credited him for turning him into the fighter that he is today, and then all of a sudden, one bad performance against Adames, and it's bye-bye Funes. What do you think about these fighters, kind of like Chris Eubank, who switch trainers every other 2 fights? What does that tell you? What does that tell you about the fighters?
Lack accountability. They never want no retrospective. It's always somebody else's fault. It's the whole generation, not to, but it is just lack of accountability. Blame somebody else, blame something online, blame this person, blame that person. Nobody ever says, well, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. Not everybody, but a lot of times you hear that, right? It's never their fault. It's always somebody else's. It's easy to blame a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fire your trainer right after a loss, you're letting everybody know you're blaming your trainer.
Well, that's what he said. He said, I'm going to butcher here probably what he said, but he said something along the lines of, people are going to think I'm making excuses, but I just needed a fresh start. Thinking, fresh start? Is he still in his 20s? What's a fresh start?
You could have said fresh voices or new voices, something new.
Yeah, but that's what he should have said, but he didn't. He said fresh start. It's like, well, he started. Yeah, he sounds like he's a 10-year veteran or something, or a 15-year veteran. It's like, hey man, I really got to make a switch now. What? You just started. Fresh start. I don't know. That was weird to me. Like you said, Jimmy, it's a bit of a red flag when a fighter starts switching trainers this early in his career. It's like, because then like you said, it always becomes a crutch. It's like, well, I didn't win, and they don't say it outright, but switching trainers after a loss or after a bad performance is you're blaming the coach. It's like the coach can't fight for you, and if you're not good enough, then there's only so much the coach can do. That the trainer, he can't turn you into a better fighter in between rounds. He can make you go from a 5 to a 10. So yeah, man. Or maybe he's not telling the whole truth, and maybe Funes really wasn't really that good. I don't know. Remains to be seen. We'll see if anything else comes out of this. Shout out to Rapak Trucking Company for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, the Turk needs to tell the judges that if Twitterson doesn't engage at least 15 times per round, the round goes to the Zep. Shout out to Rapak Trucking Company. That's a great idea. If the guy's back foot bitching it or fighting in a negative style and not landing anything significant or even trying to land something significant, guess what? The round goes to the other guy, even if he didn't land as much either. I like that idea, Rapax. Keep him coming. That's why he's got the top tier precision, by the way. Don't forget to call in, fellas.
Spa together? Is there any news? Did they have a spa? Zepeda and Stevenson? Was he ever a sparring partner with?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. And the other card is good too, man. You got Matias versus Puello. You've got, the main event is probably going to be Sheeraz Berlanga. That's what they're saying. Hold on, let's go to the phone lines real quick because people have been waiting, and then we'll get back here to the panel. We still got a lot to cover. Let's go to 910. 910, you on the air. 910, what's on your mind?
Hey, this is Ceylon. So, Fulton doesn't want to move to 130. He's being ordered to move to 130 by his boss. He has as much say in his matchmaking as you and I do, He's a PBC employee.
Right.
He disobeyed PBC once, and they benched him for a year, then put him on an untelevised undercard. So when they want him to move up to 130 to fight, to be the underdog in a PBC top-ranked matchup, he's going to do it and say he wants to. That's about it, man.
You know what, Ceylon? That's a great point right there. That's an interesting observation. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, why? Because he just got to 126, and there's a lot of good fights to make.
Yeah.
Except like you said, there's no PBC guys there.
Yeah, he outgrew 126 the same way I outgrew heavyweight. Come on. Give me a break.
All right. Well, there you go. Hey, are you going to be what's that?
No, you go ahead, buddy.
Any interest in the Conor Benn Chris Eubank Jr. fight?
I mean, I'll watch it. I watch all the fights. I'm not too interested. I don't like either guy. I don't like they're more into attention seeking than they are into boxing. I wish they would just, fight regularly, fight their peers. I will watch a novelty fight, which this is, but I'd prefer a real boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see Conor Benn fighting. I'd like to see both these guys fighting their peers that are similar to them in ranking in their own weight class. But the fucking around is the name of the game. This is 50% sport, 100% bad business, and 50% screwing around. So I'll watch. I'm curious what you think about the Hamza Sheeraz, Edgar Berlanga, the cannibal fight. Because I saw Hamza Sheeraz just choked and gave away, he has his first loss unofficially. He choked and gave it away. He just wouldn't throw punches and he wouldn't win. He was, and really, he should have beaten the dog piss out of help me out here.
Adames.
Yeah. I've been watching Adames since, I think the first time I really closely watched him was on the Linares Lomachenko undercard. And they won, Top Rank wanted him to be some big, huge, scary welterweight. And he could never make welterweight. And so he moved up, but I never saw nothing there, I never saw nothing special. And he did really good against Hamza Sheeraz, but I'll tell you what, he wouldn't have lasted very long if Sheeraz had actually, tried to hit him a few times. Is Sheeraz going to choke again against Berlanga?
That's a good question. You know what? There's two sides to that coin. Berlanga hits harder. I would venture to say he might hit harder than Adames. But I don't think he's as good as
I
Adames.
think he's a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, but then the flip side to that coin is Adames surprised me in how he was able to work his way into Adames' wheelhouse. Sheeraz's wheelhouse. So Adames surprised me with his technique in working his way in against the taller guy. I don't know if Berlanga has that. Berlanga has shown himself to be quite inept at creating openings, whether it's against guys that are coming to him.
Still bites.
Was that?
Yeah, he's quite inept. And Adames did show some. He didn't lose his cool. He adapted himself to Sheeraz and hit him a bunch. That's what it's about. He won. But look, Adames had no business going the distance with Sheeraz. We've seen what the guy can do, and he choked.
I think you make a fair point because every time Sheeraz was firing that jab, he was hitting Adames clean, and I'm thinking, okay, now you just got to work off that jab.
He wouldn't follow it up. He wouldn't use the jab. He followed up a couple of times, but it's just like, man, he choked.
Listen,
it reminded me of like Vlad with Fury. Give Fury all the credit, but give Fury credit for what he did, but give Vlad credit for choking.
I agree. That's what I was going to say. Listen, I give Adames credit for making him freeze. But goddamn, you gotta wake up from that freezing. You gotta slap yourself back to reality and let your hands go. And he couldn't. Maybe he'll learn from that fight. Maybe fighting Berlanga is gonna seem easier than fighting Adames, who's trickier and a little bit more wily. But you just never know, man. I think it's an intriguing fight, and it should be the main event. I think over Zepeda Shakur Stevenson because Shakur Stevenson, he does well in New Jersey. This ain't New Jersey. It's gonna be in Central Park apparently. So different world. All right, Ceylon, anything else you want to say?
Well, I've gone to see. Well, yeah, I went and saw Shakur fight once I went to saw Amir Khan and Terrence Crawford fight, and Shakur Stevenson was on the undercard. And I'll tell you what, I was sitting in the Puerto Rican section, and they all came to see Shakur. And in fact, they put down their flags when he stepped in the ring. They were rooting for the Puerto Rican fighters all throughout the card, and then. And they put the flags away, and they said, "Don't tell anyone." Dude turns to me and goes, "Don't tell anyone you saw this."
Nah, come on. Well, that was
it was good. It cracked me up. But Stevenson has a big draw from the New York and especially from New Jersey. He's got a big draw. So.
Well, we shall see. That fight that you were talking about on the undercard of Crawford-Canelo, I believe that's when he fought Pitufo Diaz. That was a Puerto Rican versus Puerto Rican affair. So maybe you're right. Maybe Eddie Hearn's underestimating Shakur Stevenson's appeal with his fellow Puerto Ricans. So they should market that fight, Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson. Forget United States, that doesn't sell. Puerto Rico versus Mexico, that always sells. Yeah. They should market it that way. All right, well, listen.
I mean,
all right, Salem.
Granted,
we gotta move on, man.
I saw him a long time ago. I don't know if people still like him.
All right. Well, listen, Salem, thank you for calling in and take it easy out there, all right? Call back next time.
Take care, my brother. Be cool.
You too, man. Take it easy. All right. Don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit that like. Really helps us out. Let's go to a phone call. Let's go to 757. 757, you're on the air. 757, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just calling to see what the topic was.
Okay, you know what? Every time somebody asks me that, I'm going to find out where you live. All right? I'm telling you, I got the contacts. Don't put me to the test. My attorney and mentor, Rafael Shapiro, has got some fantastic detectives, all right?
BDA, you realize that was me, right?
Oh, okay, sorry. My goodness, you got me so worked up over this. I'm not even thinking clearly. 757, you're on the air.
No, I took a 757 number and called in the show just to ask the question.
You fuck. Oh, you know what, man? You got an.
Do you want me to drop off the panel for that for the night, or?
I want you to drop off forever. How about that? 6 feet under.
Oh, come on!
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We go way back. By the way, shout out to my friend Logan, who's listening to the show right now.
Did he put you up to this?
That was his number. No, it's his number I used to call.
All right. So now you're putting your friend in the crossfire of my ire.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I don't think you're ever going to hear from Logan again.
All right, there you go. Shout out to Logan. It's a badass name right there. But what was I going to say? Okay, so I mean, I don't even know what else to talk about, guys. Benn versus Eubank. It doesn't seem to tickle your fancy. Okay, here's a controversial one for you. Ryan Garcia says he wants to fight Jaron Ennis, even though he still has to get past Raul Romero and then Devin Haney, if Haney even gets past Jose Ramirez. So the WBA is saying that the winner of Romero Garcia would probably get some sort of WBA designation or something in order to get a fight against Ennis, which is idiocy. Neither guy has ever fought a welterweight. Now all of a sudden they're one fight away from a title shot. And I've been seeing people on Twitter saying, oh yeah, let's make it happen. On Discord too. I think Rare Breed was saying, well, hey, Ryan Garcia's calling him out. Why not? I'm thinking just because one fighter calls another one out doesn't all of a sudden make the fight worthy. Or it doesn't dignify it. Anybody can call anybody else out. Mikey Garcia called out Errol Spence. Look how that fight turned out. It was a snooze fest. So I don't understand why people are even throwing that out. Oh yeah, Ryan Garcia should fight Ennis. Other people are saying Teofimo Lopez because he's been calling out Ennis too. Oh yeah, make it happen. It's always these Latino fighters that have to do more, it seems, than other fighters. Ennis, on the other hand, clearly too big for the division. He said it himself. Oh, but none of these so-called pundits on Twitter are asking for him to move up to 154 already, where the fights would be epic over there.
Well, that and of the four queens, as I like to call them, that everybody overhyped at the lightweight to the junior welterweight division now, the only one that's really trying to fight everybody is Ryan. And he's the one that everyone looks as the weakest link as far as overall talent, even though he's got the most aesthetic star appeal, right? But he's got a lot of flaws. He doesn't take the career seriously. Looks like he wants to be a media star and use boxing on the side. All these things are said, but he's fought Tank and he's fought Haney. Okay, Tio, I can give him a little bit of credit, Loma and Taylor, but they weren't in when he fought Loma. After he fought Loma, he wouldn't rematch him, and Taylor was in a weight division above where everybody else was. So of the people that were all at lightweight at the time, the only one that's really fought two of the four is Ryan. Haney's not trying to fight the other guys. Tank's not trying to fight the other guys. Shakur calls him out, but there's no financial backing behind him to try and get any real contracts sent out. So, like you're saying, the Hispanic fighters look like they have to do most of the work. Well, as far as the four queens go, Ryan is the one doing most of the work.
That's a good point. And look, listen, it's not the worst fight in the world. I mean, if it were to happen, I'd be like, man, I'd be disappointed because I think on paper it's a mismatch. I think Ennis is too big physically. What's the word I'm looking for here? He's got too many physical tools. He's got the size. He's just as fast, or maybe slightly less faster than Garcia, but he definitely is on that speed stratosphere. And then on top of that, I think he hits harder too. So I'm not really excited for that fight. But it is interesting.
Remember speed versus quickness, though. Like we've pointed out on the panel before. I think Ennis has got the speed. Ryan's quicker. Ryan is quicker. Mm-hmm. I put my now that doesn't mean he's going to win. It doesn't mean I think he's got it in the bag. But punch for punch, a timing on one left hook each, Ryan's going to land first. It may not have an effect. He may not hit hard enough. He may not be big enough. But we've seen his hand speed many times over. He's very quick with that hook, and I can see him hitting Ennis with a hook he doesn't see. That would, to me, we don't know what Ryan really has at 147 for power, but that would put it somewhat of a test on what Ennis' chin really is, because Ryan is a bona fide left hook artist. Mm-hmm. And so if he can time Ennis and hit him with a hook, and Ennis takes it without it getting hurt, it's starting to look like Ennis may get hit too much for being from Philly and being an aggressive fighter. He's not quite as defensive minded as some of the other guys with his style, like a Jones and a Whittaker and so on and so forth. But they're nowhere near as aggressive as he is. None of them were. And my point in all this is if he can take Ryan's hook, then it shows the fact that he knows why he's this aggressive. He knows he's got a chin. We've been questioning it because of some stutter steps he's taken from a shot he doesn't see from smaller guys. But if he can take Ryan's hook, that says something, even at 147.
Interesting point right there. Jimmy, what do you think? No, Jimmy might be MIA for the moment. Well, first of all, I mean, again, Ryan Garcia, he does deserve some credit for, I mean, he took on Tank Davis, and the fight would have never happened had he not acquiesced and agreed to all the demands in the contract. All the many demands that Tank Davis wanted or made just to get that one little fight made against an Instagram model. And then he fought Devin Haney too. Of course, I think the guy that's not getting the credit he deserves is Teofimo Lopez. That's the guy out of all. I don't know if he's included in the Four Queens, but he's definitely from their generation. He's the guy that's done the most. And yet he's not on Ring Magazine's or ESPN's top 10 pound-for-pound list. Meanwhile, they had Tank Davis in there for months, even though he was inactive and not fighting the best out there. So I don't know how they work those lists, and quite frankly, I don't want to know anymore. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 310. 310, you're on the air. 310, what's on your mind?
I just want to talk about the possibility of Ryan Garcia fighting against Bruce Ennis.
Go ahead.
Bruce Ennis would destroy Ryan Garcia without a doubt. Bruce Ennis is the only guy that I've ever seen. I've been watching boxing many years. He's not only a switch hitter, but he switches and you don't even know he switches. Check him out. Bruce Ennis is probably right now the most God-gifted boxer today. Maybe in the last 20 years, honestly. But we also got to see it in the ring, don't we? But I would not recommend Ryan Garcia getting in the ring with him. Bruce Ennis is definitely wants to clear out 147 first. He probably won't be able to do it because I don't think that, what's his name again, Norman. I mean, Norman's just talking, so I think Bruce is probably just got to move up to 154. There's a lot of talent up there. But that's when Bruce is really going to, show his true talent up there at 154. There's a lot of great fights up there. But I do not recommend Ryan Garcia fighting against Bruce. Bruce will put him to sleep, straight up.
Yeah, who knows if that fight's even going to happen? You gotta wonder with Ryan Garcia sometimes. I mean, he does have balls. He will fight whomever, no matter the stipulations. But yeah, fighting, and on top of that, he's got to get past Rolly Romero first, and then maybe Devin Haney if that fight ever materializes a rematch. So yeah, I think he's just saying whatever to get people's attention right now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the thing about it is that Bruce is just too fast, too strong. If you look at Bruce, he has everything. He has everything. And I'm Latino in the thing right now, and I've never seen anybody do what Bruce does, ever. So Bruce has definitely got the tools. Like I said, he's definitely God-gifted. He's been blessed by the Lord. But we got to see what he does in the ring. We got to see him fight against a little bit better talent. I thought that Stanley Eubank was going to put up a bit better fight, but Bruce is just on a different level. So, but I think that time will show how good Boots really is. And if everything's like I say it is, I think Boots by the end of his career is going to show to be one of the all-time best to ever lace him up. So time will only show that.
Well, I'm curious. Did you ever see prime Roy Jones?
Oh yeah, Roy Jones is bad. Roy Jones is bad. And Roy Jones actually, that's the only person that Roy Jones ever compared to himself is Bruce Ennis. That's the only person that Roy Jones has ever compared to himself is Bruce Ennis. So that lets you know about what Roy Jones thinks about him. But no, Roy Jones was a bad guy. He was bad.
Yeah, but Roy Jones was way fast. Even though he was heavier, he was way faster than Jaron Ennis. I mean, there's guys out there right now that are faster than Ennis. I mean, Ennis is not that fast. He's fast, don't get me wrong, but he's not faster than anyone.
Mm-hmm. But his footwork, did you see how he switches from southpaw to orthodox without you even knowing? You ever seen how he does that?
I mean,
you can watch him, he just kind of just puzzles you.
I do realize that he's switch hitting. I mean, I don't see the seamless or I don't see the covert switch hitting.
Oh, he does it all the time.
I know he switches, what I'm saying, but I see him where he switches.
Well, let's put it into this debate real quick. Boots is not faster than Roy Jones, not now, not ever, and never will be. That's right. Not even comparable. Boots can't throw. Boots cannot throw 4 left hooks in a second. Roy Jones literally did.
I don't know.
We have it on
no.
Hey, but,
all right, well,
no.
he hasn't done it yet, and Roy did.
Roy Jones was bad.
Roy did.
Roy Jones was bad. Roy Jones is a legend. I'm not going to take that away.
Well,
Roy Jones,
Boots is still
going to prove it in the ring.
Yeah, caller. Like you said, he still has to prove it, and obviously it's difficult.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's easy to say Roy Jones is the better guy because he's already got a full career. Now, I'm curious, just before we go,
of course,
who would you rather like? Who's the dream match for Boots if you could set up the next fight right off the bat? Who's the guy that you must absolutely see him in against?
Bud Crawford.
Crawford. All right. Now, let me ask you.
I want to see him fight. I want to see Crawford.
All right, now let me ask you a different way. Realistically, what's the best fight that you would want to see? Because, Crawford's going to be fighting Canelo next, so that one's probably not going to happen. So what's the second option?
Okay, what's the best fight that I'd like to see overall over anybody?
No. I'm saying Ennis, because Crawford's he's going to be busy with Canelo this fall. So, So what's the second option? Boots versus whom?
Boots fight against that guy, was it Murataya? Remember that guy that beat up Tim Tszyu?
Murtazaliev.
From 154. Yeah. I forgot his name. I would love to see Boots fight him. But that guy looked vicious.
Indeed, he does. He's like he looks like a caveman. Very dangerous.
Yeah.
He does look like a caveman. I'm pretty sure he'd admit it himself. That's not an insult. I'm just saying he looks dangerous. All right, well, listen, caller. Thank you. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in, man. Call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. We got a Boots fan, and he's very high on Boots. That's what we need in boxing, by the way. That's what I was talking about the other day about Tito Mercado, Ernesto Tito Mercado. He's a trash talker, but he really means it. He's not like these guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. They talk about how they're going to murder somebody in the ring. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then when they show up, they backfoot bitch it. And Tito Mercado means it. And Jerome Boots Ennis, when he shows up, he tries to take people's heads off. Those are the type of fighters we need. And that's the other thing I don't know if you guys were there the other day when we were talking about, what was the American fighter that it was Boots Ennis, how Boots Ennis ended up stopping Stanionis. A couple of weeks earlier, Keyshawn Davis had stopped Berenchik. And those guys might have been weight bullying a little bit. Ennis, big guy for the division, so is Keyshawn Davis. But at least they're scoring stoppages. Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, you got all these other weight bullies. They can't even score knockouts or knockdowns, let alone stoppages. So this is what America needs. They need this type of boxers. Keyshawn Davis and Jerome Boots Ennis, they're healing American boxing. What do you guys think? Jimmy and Chief. Don't leave me hanging now. Come on now. Come on.
Fully agree. We've got youth with energy and hunger, and boxing's needed this for a long time. You love people, I say I'm an old fogey because I think I only like knockouts. No, I like aggressive talent. If you want to be defensive minded, be like James Toney then. Be defensive while setting up your offense. That's what he could do. Tyson did the same thing when he was young. Tyson summed up his own style when he was younger as an aggressive counterpuncher. That's what he was. And so we can use some more of that in this sport.
That's right. Vibrancy, dynamism, panache. In other words, that's what we want to see in boxing. The era of Mayweather, it's coming to an end. People are finally realizing, you can't become a star fighting like Mayweather. He was an anomaly. He made it big because of various factors, not just because he was boring. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Don't forget the phone lines are still open. Still going to be open for a little while now. So call in before we leave. The other thing I wanted to say to you guys, Jimmy, are you there, by the way? Because I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well on this. Jimmy. Jimmy's MIA. I mean, I see him, but I don't hear him. Okay, one thing that, listen, Terence Crawford, he's been making the rounds now, even though he doesn't have a fight. Apparently, he was at WrestleMania. And then all of a sudden now, he did an interview with, what's his name? Some football player that just recently got into some hot water because...
Shannon Sharp.
Okay, it's Sharp, because I thought it was Sharpie. I just read his
Shannon
name right
Sharp.
now. Okay.
And, we were talking about it at Server's Place today.
Okay, so first of all, what type of how big a football player was he in terms of fame and talent, and what exactly is going on with him right now? What's the allegation?
Okay, so you're not a football show, but I'll sum up everything real quick. I don't know what's going on with the allegations, but it's basically sexual in nature from an ex-girlfriend. It's a $50 million lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
How good of a player was he?
Whoa.
He was on the Baltimore Ravens when they won their first Super Bowl, and he won the 2 Super Bowls with John Elway before he retired. So he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Given it's a team sport, but he was a very good tight end.
So he was a good tight end, and now he's getting into trouble because he wasn't a tight end, a white tight end. No, I mean,
I'm only commenting on the first part.
You set me off for that one, man. It's your fault. By the way, you're to football.
You're getting even for me with calling in and asking what the topic was.
I mean, listen, that again, that's I'm gonna take some revenge on that. I asked you about a football player, and you just spouted off stats like that. That's the same way Jimmy is with serial killers. You mention a serial killer name, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, Washington Heights, blah blah blah, 1975, killed 2 people." It's like, whoa, how does Jimmy know all this? Is he reading it off the FBI database or something? It's bizarre. But
I like serial killers.
Okay, stop it. First of all, that sounded creepy the way you said it. I like serial killers.
You're also alive during that time. You're the only one on the panel that was alive when that happened.
When what happened?
The serial killers from the 70s.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, no, man, he'll tell you about that. That one's from the 50s too. Don't get it twisted. Did you guys hear what I was playing about Stephen Fulton, by the way?
No, I didn't. What's up?
So, Stephen Fulton was talking about when he lost to Naoya Inoue, the first knockdown when he got dropped. He heard later on that his mother called his sisters and said, "There goes my house. There goes my house," meaning the money's gone. And Stephen Fulton said that he was really hurt by that. Isn't it bad enough, guys? When you're a boxer, you got all these vultures trying to get at your money. Now it's got to be your own family. That's the first thing she's worried about, that the money and not his health. What do you guys think about that?
That's fucked up. That's really fucked up if that's what she yelled. If that's true, wow. Jesus.
I mean, I got to tell you.
He hasn't been the same. He hasn't been the same since that fight. He didn't look all that great in his last performances.
People gave him praise for beating, what's his name, Figueroa, because he wasn't supposed to beat him. I mean, he was the underdog in that one. But Figueroa too I think they fight 5 times. He'll always beat Figueroa, and that's the other thing. Like I was saying earlier, now all of a sudden the caller was saying too that they're making him move up to 130. The caller believed that he doesn't think Stephen Fulton wants to move up. He thinks that's the PBC directive. They're telling him, "Hey, move up to 130 now." So maybe it's as a punishment for going off the reservation to fight Inoue. I don't know. You gotta wonder.
Well, the PBC definitely didn't want to have anything to do with that fight. I mean, to his credit, he pushed for it, but it was the biggest payday he's ever going to have in his career. He'll never see that kind of money again. You know, I mean, they paid him $5 million.
That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah. I'm sure his last fight he didn't even see anywhere near $1 million.
Maybe his mother's like, why don't you fight Inoue again? Why don't you fight the little Chinese boy again? Get another payday. You never know, man.
Go fight Yeah, I know exactly. I don't think. I think he should just stay at 126. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he recently
130.
moved up.
He just got to 126 for Christ's sakes.
He's gonna lose his speed advantage at 130. I mean, there's guys there that are just as quick as he is, and then on top of that, they're bigger punchers too. So yeah, I don't see the point moving up to 120 at 130 right now. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 669. 669, you're on the air. 669, what's on your mind?
Jimmy. Can I get Jimmy on the phone for a second?
You got Jimmy right now. Here he is. He's all yours.
Jimmy, you're the Zodiac killer. I knew it all along. Give it up, bro.
What's going on, man?
I said you're the Zodiac killer. You can just give it up now. Give up the act.
Yeah, he's saying you're the serial killer. You can give up the act now, he says. Did you hear that? He laughed, but he didn't deny it.
I haven't got caught. I've never got caught.
Come on, don't say that. Don't say that. You never know nowadays. People believe what they hear on the internet like it's gospel.
Guilty.
Hey, caller, we can barely hear you, man. Are you on the speakerphone or something?
Yeah, let me get off of it. Yeah, we caught you, man. We caught you, Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it for a while, man. I just didn't want to say anything because I didn't have enough proof. But now that I got more witnesses here, more people to corroborate my baseless claims, absolutely. I'm going to start becoming a little bit more serious about it now.
Just don't pass too much judgment because prostitutes have no souls.
Come on. See, and you know what? That's not even a joke because he said that.
Come on.
He said that in another podcast, in the Second Renaissance before too, and he meant it. So yeah, that's not a joke from Jimmy. He means it. It's from the heart.
Yeah, 33 prostitutes, all by Jimmy's hands.
33, interesting number. All right, so what's up, caller? What's on your mind, man?
Man, I agree with Boxing Chief, man. It's so boring watching Shakur fight, man.
Oh.
Whenever I need a good nap, I just put on the Shakur fight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man.
Who actually likes that guy? Nobody.
I mean, it takes all sorts of styles in boxing to make it interesting. You got the exciting guys, and then you need the boring guys like Shakur Stevenson.
That's not boring. That's torture. That's not even boring. That's just pain. You need to be a masochist to like his style.
You know, some people enjoy the pain. Yeah, like you said, masochist. Some people you can't. You know, we live in the new age now, postmodernism. There's no set lines anymore. Everybody can do whatever they want.
Yep, that's true. I mean, look at Jimmy. He's going crazy.
Come on. Well, first off, going. When did he stop? He's
been.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's been.
Yeah,
oh man, it would be honestly. I don't know why, but I. Jot it down, Jot it down, Bucho.
Jot what down? And this
Jot
BD,
it down.
by the way. This BD. Oh, shut it down. Yeah. Butch is gonna come in and
Shakur's gonna get robbed. He's gonna get robbed against Zepeda. Good. As punishment for going against Turkey.
I'm glad. If that happens, I'll be happy.
I'm glad too, but Daddy Turkey ain't playing. He's gonna rob him blind.
Well, listen, I mean, Shakur Stevenson has got to better go in there and make a statement because he's always been talking about, I want a big fight. Well, you got one now. Make it count. All right, caller, listen, we got to move on here, man. Anything else you want to say before we do so?
No, I just hope, I hope God has mercy on Jimmy's soul. That's all I hope.
All right, come on, that's enough.
And all the 33 prostitutes he has killed.
Jeez, Luis, that's allegedly. Allegedly. We got to go, caller. Thank you for your call, man. Take it easy out there.
Okay. Later, man. Take care.
First of all, and then on top of that, I hear myself in the background. Did you guys hear that? I don't know if you guys could hear, but there was like a delay, and I could hear myself in the background muffled. It sounded like he was in a newsroom or something. I don't know. Fellas, don't forget to hit that like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 612. 612, you're on the air. 612, what's on your mind? Oh.
Hey, yo, what's up?
What's up, 612? What's on your mind?
So I was just listening to the last caller. I want you to explain to me what makes Shakur Stevenson boring. Because I keep hearing that, and every time I ask, I don't get the actual factual. How is he boring when he's fighting? Explain that to me.
Well, caller, you got to call back.
What is he doing that's boring?
Well, wait for the caller to call back. See if he even calls back.
Avoiding combat.
No, I'm asking you.
Well, wait a minute. The caller said it.
No, I
just answered you, and I said avoiding combat.
All right, so Chief is answering the question, apparently.
Fuck that dude. I want to ask BDA because he, when he said it, you was agreeing with him. You claim you know boxing, but you're going to seriously agree with somebody saying Shakur is boring? So tell me what he's doing that's boring when he's boxing. You claim you know boxing, you should be able to answer that. What is he doing that's boring?
Watch the Edwin De Los Santos fight. Did you watch that fight? Just curious.
What was boring about it? Now, I watched the fight, but I want you to tell me what was boring about it.
Avoiding combat, like Boxing Chief said.
Avoiding combat?
That's right.
Not letting the guy hit him is boring?
Absolutely. When you're leaping halfway through the air, throwing one shot at a time, yeah, that's boring. You probably enjoy it. Did you enjoy that fight?
A guy.
Did you enjoy that? Hold on, I answer your question. Answer mine. Did you enjoy that fight?
Let's say me and you get into a fight.
He's not going to answer the question now. He's not going to answer the question. It's a simple question, by the way. I answer his question, or he won't answer mine. What's up with that?
Well, and the follow-up is that he's taking to an extreme of, well, if you just don't move around the ring, then you have to stand and get head beat off. Well, no. And if he's listened to me before, he's known the fact that I talk about the fact. Teddy Atlas told Tim Bradley, if you want to throw the hook, go ahead, just don't stand right in front of him. Get an angle. Use an angle to where you can hit him and he can't hit you back. And if Shakur's this generational talent, he should have the IQ to know how to do that by now, especially by his third weight division, which he still doesn't know how to do. And that's my issue with him. It's not the fact he's not talented. It's not the fact that he can't box. He can't fight, but he can box. But when you want to talk about being boring, he's safety first to the point to where he literally avoids combat.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's to the point where you're trying to say, well, if he doesn't do that, he just stands against the head beat in, then you don't know boxing. That's
a
it.
good point.
You think it's either one or the other. Then you, as the fan, don't know boxing and don't know what we don't like because you don't have you don't know the nuances to the sport on what he can do to still be exciting while being defensive.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting about that caller. One time, I remember I got into it with somebody because I said Vladimir Klitschko is boring because he was clinching so much. And the guy told me, no, he's not boring. I said, why not? He said, well, because a lot of people paid to see him fight in Germany. I go, that's not. So then we started getting into the subjective nature of boxing. What's aesthetically pleasing for one person? What's aesthetically displeasing for another? So that's why I'm curious, caller. Did you enjoy the De Los Santos fight?
See, let me say this first.
All right.
We're
going to move on, man.
I got no questions for this today. I got yes or no question. He won't answer it.
Exactly. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. We're still going to be here taking phone calls for a little bit, but make sure to do that. All right? Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is, okay, somebody mentioned, we were talking about Sharpie. What's his Sharp? Was in some hot water. Ah, shit. Okay, so Chief needs to go. All right, Chief, thanks for your insight into who Shannon Sharp is. And apparently, like I said, he's in a bit of hot water because that's the other thing. Okay, I know this is in the second renaissance, but I've actually seen people saying it on Twitter right now. Oh, he's banged a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. I'm thinking, okay, so why? Because he's 50, he can bang a 20. If he was banging a 14-year-old, I would see a problem. But he's banging a girl of legal age. I don't know. Maybe I missed other details. Maybe he slapped her around or something. I don't know. Maybe she enjoyed that. I don't know. But that's what we got there with Shannon Sharp. So the reason why I mentioned that is because, hold on, we got a phone call here. Let's go to 612. 612, you're on the air. 612, what's on your mind?
Did y'all cut out or did somebody hang up?
Well, we hang up on you because you refused to have a decent conversation with us.
No, what I was saying is...
Yeah, and I was asking you, hold on, before you go, because I answered your question, now you gotta answer us. Did you enjoy the Shakur Stevenson De Los Santos fight? And if so, what did you enjoy about it?
I never said I enjoyed it. What I said was...
All right, take it easy, man. I mean, he's telling me that he's complaining that I'm saying that it's boring. And then do you actually agree or disagree with that? He won't even answer that. So I got no time for this BS today, man. It's been a long show. We're trying to really expand upon some things here. And he won't even talk about that fight. I bet you he didn't even watch the fight. I think Chief is right about that. What are people saying in the chat? Hold on a second. Warrior Way says boxing is a sport meant to be entertainment, not running around and clinching. Well, listen, the rules are quite clear. Whether it's the IBA, the WBA, the WBO, the Association of Boxing Commissions, running around the ring, non-combat, is against the rules. In fact, back in the day, they used to warn people for not engaging in combat. And the thing I also often hear is, well, okay, so are you asking to be hit? No, nobody's saying. See, they always come up with the either-or argument. Are you asking them to get into a slugfest? I mean, does Usyk get into slugfest? Or is he being aggressive, but at the same time being smart about it? He's not going out there exchanging shots like Arturo Gatti. So that doesn't really make much of a sense, that either-or argument. It's a fallacy. DarkDo says he called back. I mean, he can't stay away from this show. He pretends that he hates it, but deep down inside, he enjoys the banter. But I'm in no banter mood right now. Aldo Vergara says, how will Boots handle the punching power of the guys at 154? Well, that's an interesting question right there. Jimmy, what do you think, man? I mean, it can go both ways, right? Either you move up and now you're healthy, and by virtue of being healthier, you hit harder, or do the bigger guys or guys your same, a relative size now, can absorb your shots? What do you think is going to happen with Boots Ennis?
I think Boots definitely tied it together his last fight. I think he really did. I mean, when he stuffed that dude and stuff, he actually took him out pretty easy, pretty one-sided fight. Boots has talent. He's shown now, I think he's shown that he can take a shot, but let's see. Yeah, because that's just it. He's never been, I mean, he never fought, because he's going to 154 now. And isn't Ortiz up there 154 now too?
Well, yeah.
He made the jump up. So, I mean, that's the fight I've been wanting to see for years. And that's the fight you know what I mean? Can he take the power of Ortiz? Because Ortiz can crack. And he's relentless. So, yeah, Ortiz, I mean, Boots is a talented kid. Absolutely. But isn't that always the question with anybody, man? Right? I mean, there's a reason why he was boiling down to 147 for all those years. Because you just have an advantage over people when if you're able to boil down to 147 and still, because you got the size and, you know, but you have to give and take. That's why, like, Shakur was so dominant when he was fighting at 122, 126, 130. But as he's gotten bigger and he's outgrown those smaller weights, all of a sudden now his biggest advantage was always his size. With that size, having a big size advantage and a laser jab like he has, that's why he was so lethal at those, in a way, as winning, not power, but winning, because he was able to take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm kind of happy he's taking this Zepeda fight. And that's what the sport needs. The sport desperately needs these guys to start fighting each other. And I would love to see the Ortiz Boots fight at 154. There's no excuse now because Boots is over there. They're on the same network now, you know? They both fight on the zone, so no excuse anymore. And I'm not saying that it was Boots avoiding him. I'm not saying any of that. Well, you know what I mean? It's not even about that. I just want to see the fight and the story.
Well, that's the thing, though. When people can talk about the ducking, oh, this guy ducked that guy ducked this guy. Last year, it was pretty clear Boots Ennis ducked at least two people. And, you know, I don't pay attention to that, like I said, but even I had to look at it and go, yep, he didn't want any smoke with those guys. Now, with Ortiz, it's interesting, Jimmy, because Ortiz has fought more punchers than Boots has. Ortiz has fought Kavaliauskas, Bohashak, and Madrimov. And against Kavaliauskas, he got hurt, but then he ended up backing him up and stopping him. Against Bohashak, the fact that he went 12 rounds, even though he was tired by the middle of the fight, and still kept on jabbing and managed to eke out a decision, that's significant right there. And then when he fought Madrimov, he backed up the big puncher. In fact, a lot of people said that he actually outperformed Crawford in compared to Madrimov. You know, those two, you know, Crawford, Madrimov, and then Ortiz, Madrimov. Some people say Ortiz looked better against Madrimov. So I don't know, but definitely has more experience. Stanionis, Jimmy, that's the thing. I don't know if you were here for the previews for that, but we were saying Stanionis is strong. You look at his physique, you're thinking, oh, he's going to be a big puncher. But then you actually see him punching. He's a slapper. I was surprised watching all of his professional fights. He never, after all this time, he still didn't learn how to close the
distance.
Well, I mean, the arc, create a L arc, L-shaped arc on your punches. He was slapping with his shots.
I know. It's not crazy especially you think the guy's going to have power. But no, you're 100% right about Ortiz. He answered the question because that was always the thing on the come up, right? We all know he hits like a truck, but can he take a shot? And he proved he could when he fought I don't know what Eastern European country comes from, but Cavaglusas or whatever his name is the first 6 rounds he punches as hard as anybody. At 140, 147, he punches like he just runs out of energy. He's all muscle and muscle bound. So, yeah, he rocked Crawford too. But yeah, no, he took that shot and then actually came back after he took it. Like he was rocked, and he didn't, run for the hills. He didn't fucking dive on him and try to hold on to him. Fucking bit down on his mouthpiece and let his own fucking leather fly. That's what you love to see. So he's a fighter. Doubt it is hot. Ortiz is a fighter.
And Kavaliauskas, by the way, incidentally, he's going to be fighting in a couple of weeks, I think, taking on a welterweight by the name of Sissoko. He's a Frenchman from out of an African country. And the guy's undefeated, I think, but he's already in his 30s. So I don't even know how good he is, really. But if he's not the real deal, then Kavaliauskas will probably let us know. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas.
No. Excellent point.
Absolutely. Kavaliauskas is dangerous when it comes to that overhand right. And again, Kavaliauskas, kind of like Stanionis, shaped about the same way. Very muscle bound. But again, if you look at how Kavaliauskas throws that right hand, he's actually closing the arc, creating an L arc with his arm. Whereas Stanionis, bit of a slapper. The arm is too straight.
Stanionis too. I mean, I never even talked about that. Let's give him the fucking grief he deserves. Quitting on a stool like that. That was tired. That was weak.
Exactly.
He didn't give up. He didn't complain at all. I'm gonna call it off. It was like you could see there was a relief in his face. It's like, dude, go out in your shield. Go out there and fucking try to throw. I know you're catching a one-sided beating. But I mean, I always thought Stanionis was overrated. Anyways, my thing was like always, who did he beat? Who is he? Who did he beat? He was a typical PBC fighter. His name was attached to somebody who was gonna fight, but the fight never happened.
Absolutely.
But just having his name thrown around all the time, he just became name recognition only. And then when the rubber hit the road, he fucking packed it in.
By the way, I see Solitis in the chat is crying. I think I really got to him the fact that, listen, I mean, you can't ask me a question. I answer it. Then I ask you a question and you just start rambling. You start giving me the runaround, being digressive. I mean, you just got to call back, make your statement, and then we can move on. Because I don't like leaving guys hanging like this, angry and crying. I mean, he literally is crying in the chat. Look, when a guy writes in all caps, that's how you know he's angry. He says avoiding combat but couldn't give me a detailed breakdown of it. Well, I didn't know you wanted a detailed breakdown. You just asked me a question, I answered. BDA is a casual. He says, go join your Mexican prison. You all seem to run that well. What are you talking about, Mexican prison? What Mexican prison did I come from? I don't get it. He's making no sense. Kind of like when he calls in. See, that's the problem when you got a guy with Solitis is even if you give him a chance to call in, he won't make sense. Then you give him a chance to write in the chat, he won't make sense. I'm actually kind of ambivalent of even letting him back on the air right now if he calls in. But I'll be magnanimous and I'll call back. I'll give you a minute to make your point. Yeah.
Why does it always go to ad hominem attacks, though? Like Mexican prison. Like, what's that all about, man? Why take everything so fucking personal, man? It's fucking a sport. Go listen to a hockey fucking podcast or any other, right? You don't usually hear the person on the podcast getting called names because they, having a discussion about something.
Impulse control. It's very important that people learn impulse control. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there. If you even tell them that, hey, learn impulse control, the fact that they have a lack of impulse control makes them actually lash out at you. By the way, Mark in the chat says Kavaliauskas would be the best at 47 if it wasn't for those two. Well, I mean, I can understand that sentiment. That's like saying, well, if Obakar had been in a division where there wasn't a De La Hoya, Trinidad, and Corte, he would have been the best. But I mean, if you can't beat those guys, you're not really the best. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with Kavaliauskas. He's got a good right hand, good overhand right hand. But then when he gets pushed back, he just loses it. He can't.
My
It's almost
trainer
like,
used to say,
yeah.
my trainer used to say in situations like that, yeah, and if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. What the fuck's your point?
Exactly. You know, some people get walked back and their energy gets drained. That's just what happens. It's almost like they're so uncomfortable backing
But
up.
he is right though. Kavalusas is a talented kid. He just runs out of juice. He just refuses to let go of the muscle. You know, the muscle mass. I think he trains too much with the weights.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe that's it.
And
maybe
he
that's
tires out. He just fucking tires out too quick. But I agree, like with his sentiment that a lot of people underestimated Cavalusa and they underplayed or downplayed Ortiz's victory over him. Like, oh, it's only Cavalusa's. Like, who's he? It's like, that dude can fucking box and he hits like a fucking Max Rock.
Absolutely, yeah. But again, like Chief said, it's all about what you've got and whether you can put it all together at the time. And Kavaliauskas, he just can't seem to do it. By the way, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out. I'm giving 5 minutes to Salida to see if he wants to change his mind, calm down, call in, give us his thoughts on boxing. I'll give him about a minute for him to make his point, and then he can leave. We got a phone call here. Let's go to 410. 410, you're on the air. 410, what's on your mind?
So I get to make a point and leave.
Oh.
Am I welcome on the show or no?
Well, Jerry, you get to make 2 points. How about that?
What's up, Jerry?
Okay. I want to talk about Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, come on.
Okay? This guy, to me, is one of the biggest fugazis in boxing. He fights right in line with his generation. He don't want to put in any work. This guy doesn't want to fight. He wants to get in there and spoil all night long and claim that he's masterfully boxing. No, it's not master boxing. This guy that he's about to fight is a pure pressure fighter, and by the terms of Stevenson fans, this guy's tailor-made for him. Let's see. Let's see if Stevenson does what a real boxer does and stay in the pocket, stay in range to land his own punches while being defensively responsible if he's a master boxer, or if he does what he's done, which is run, jump back 5-6 feet at a time, hold and hug and move. That's not master boxing. That's bullshit. There ain't nothing slick or masterful about it. He might be able to beat this guy, but he's probably going to look like shit doing it. His stock is probably going to drop even further. You feel me? On that. I get tired of people capping on this guy. I've seen from him in places where he could be sensational, but that's what's most frustrating about him. He's got a lot of gifts, but he just ain't got no dog in him, and I'm not a fan.
Well, let me ask you this, Jerry. Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I was going to say prime James Toney, how he was so slippery in the pocket, but he wasn't boring. You know what I mean? He'd make you miss, but he would still make the fight exciting.
But see, that's the thing. That's when we get into the mentality aspect. Real quick, that's where we get into the mentality aspect. A guy like James Toney didn't mind getting hit. It's not like he wanted to get hit, but if it came to that, he didn't mind. Shakur Stevenson does mind getting hit, and he's admitted it as much. So it's a different mentality.
That's an excellent point, because if you watch James Toney, all of his fights, which I watched his whole career, he got hit plenty. Now, if he wanted to be defensive and he wanted to get behind his shoulder, he could be very hard to hit. But the reality is, James Toney got hit plenty because he was a fighter. So he was a boxer. He could be defensive, beautifully defensive. But listen, man, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to hear this not get hit. That's not part of the scoring criteria. If you don't get hit much in a fight, that means you ran or you spoiled to some degree. Even a master boxer like Whittaker or James Toney, they got hit. They got hit some. That's part of boxing. I'm not trying to hear this shit. I'll take one Keyshawn Davis over a half dozen Shakur Stevenson. That's where I'm at. You feel me? Keyshawn, he comes to fight, and he boxes. He stays in the pocket and range lands his own shots. He gets hit a little bit, but that's more entertaining. I predict Shakur Stevenson is going to look like shit against Zepeda. Even if he wins the fight, what's he going to do to keep that guy off of him, man? He can't punch hard enough to keep that guy off of him. He's going to be pestering him all night long. If Stevenson stays in the pocket and fires off combinations and masterfully box, I'll give him full credit. I don't see it happening. He's going to be looking for a promoter right after that fight. Because the motherfucker is having problems really securing fights as it is. Nobody wants to fight him because of his stinking ass style, and he's not that popular. He's to me the biggest Fugazi gem in boxing right now.
Interesting. All right, that's gonna probably anger some people in the chat. Let me tell you, they don't like Shakur Stevenson being criticized. Well, I mean, hey, I'm just warning you right off the bat.
Hey, man, I'm just calling it like I see it. Listen, if he turns around and starts behaving like a real fighter, a real master boxer, and staying in the pocket and getting his shots off and using combos, man, I'll turn right around on him. I don't wish him no bad luck. I'm tired of the excuses, and I'm just tired of him, man. To me, you got guys that are ranked in the lower half of the top 10 that are putting forth far more effort, like a Keyshawn Davis, and for example, and you don't hear much about him. You know, boots in his. I don't want to hear about Stevenson. Until he starts showing me he is what he says he is. If he does that, I'm gonna give him full credit. He had a fight not long ago against De Los Santos, was the most fucking junk-ass title fight you ever done seen. And CompuBox said that it was the fewest punches thrown. Huh?
Remember when they showed the crowd literally in the bailing? They were like walking out on the headline fight. You know how bad that looks?
Yeah, they were leaving. They were booing. That was a hometown crowd. But you know what was more harmful? If you're a boxing fan like you guys are and I am, what was more harmful than his hometown fans booing him and leaving early was when they panned the camera to Bud Crawford and Andre Ward, his buddies that were there to root him on. And they looked like they had smoked 5 or 6 fucking blunts between the two of them. They were fucking literally, they were literally asleep. Now, a casual might not have known because they might not know who Ward but we do. And you seen where they were at, huh? The fucking people were booing, hometown crowd. They're leaving. He even got booed by that very conservative Saudi crowd in his last fight against a guy who had to take off fucking work to even come to the fucking fight.
There you
go. 4 days fucking notice. I mean, he should have made a highlight reel out of that dude. Instead, the guy goes, 10 rounds, was it? 9 rounds? It was boring. The conservative Saudi crowd, I don't want to dog him too much, but I'm just saying, the guy, he's got to show me he's anything close to what he says. And from what I understand, that 2-fight deal he had with Eddie Hearn is on ice. They don't even know, I don't know what's in store for him.
Well, listen,
anyway, that's all I got, guys.
All right, Jerry, thank you for your call, man. Call back next time. Take it easy on
Thank you. Thanks for my call. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he ethered Shakur Stevenson in there. And I'm still waiting to hear from some people, see what makes Shakur Stevenson exciting in their eyes. I mean, I gave Solitis 5 minutes to call in. He won't call in anymore. He wanted to call in. He had so much to say. Give him a magnanimous chance, third chance to call back in. He doesn't want to. I think he's afraid of that smoke, like they say. How many times have we let him call on? Now all of a sudden he doesn't want to call in. In fact, he said no of you guys would get in the ring with him, so you all are a peasant to him. Say what you want. All right, so no commas. I barely understood what he wrote. Now I understand why he doesn't want to call in. Because when you actually ask him a question to answer, he doesn't have the vocabulary to do so. I gotta say, Solitis, if you don't call back in right now, that's this is where we walk away from each other, man. No more BDA Solitis banter. And you would only be hurting yourself, by the way, because I know you like to call in. But at the same time, you would also, maybe be hurting some people out there who enjoy the banter. So I'll leave it open for another minute, the phone lines for another minute. But then, if not, we're gonna go. I see we got Gonzalo jumping in. Gonzalo, are you there? All right.
Yeah, BDA, I'm here, but I got a Bluetooth headset and I'm at work, but yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
What's up, Gonzalo?
Hey, how's it going, Jimmy?
Good, brother. Good. You?
I'm doing all right. Just staying busy here at work.
Excellent. What do you got to say about the Shakur thing?
Well, yeah, I was listening to the interview in the morning because I was working. I was listening to the interview on some podcast. What is there to say? I pretty much know everything about how the guy expresses himself and what he thinks about his skills. That how much he values the O and stuff like that. The style he fights, like he'll say that he fights in the pocket, but really, like BDA said it the other day, well, when he faces punchers, he doesn't really stay in the pocket. Yeah, he stays in the pocket against non-punchers. Because there's a difference, right? You can say you stay in the pocket, but when you really face guys that got power, that are a threat, you don't. So there's a clear difference between that.
Well,
what else can I say? Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
go ahead.
it.
Well, look. I gave him credit. I gave him credit for at least trying against Hartunonian, or however you pronounce his name. And I knew I wasn't so disappointed in that fight because I knew that's how it was going to go. I didn't expect him to all of a sudden go in there and turn into a power puncher. I think the people that were disappointed were the ones that went in there with the expectation that he was going to wrestle and dazzle. I think at this point, people need to get into their heads. Shakur Stevenson is not the leopard ain't going to change his spots. It's not going to he's not going all of a sudden going to turn into Roy Jones Jr. or James Toney. This is what you get. And again, the Hartonian fight, not that bad. Not that bad. All right, listen, I guess Solitis isn't going to call in. He sort of lost the spirit for it. Maybe I can take some responsibility for that, for pressing him too much in the last couple of phone calls. But hey, listen, I got to do it. Otherwise, well, what are we here for? Before we go, though, this is what I wanted to get to. So Shannon Sharp did an interview with Terrence Crawford. And again, shout out to the Sergeant and shout out to, I think it was E-Dog, who posted this in the Discord. What is it with Terrence Crawford wrestling guys all the time? Look at that. This is about the fourth time I've ever seen him wrestling somebody. He loves to put his hands on other men, or around other men. What is this? I don't get it. It's I'm looking at people wrestling with him in the park, on a lawn, in a factory. What is it with him just getting into it with these people? Can somebody tell me?
He's a big wrestler guy. I mean, to be honest with you, he coaches his son's wrestling team. He loves wrestling, like he says, he wishes he would have done wrestling in high school and stuff. But yeah, I know he appreciates wrestling. He enjoys it. So I think people know that and they try to wrestle with him. Probably because they don't want to definitely throw hands with him in the park.
But you like boxing,
people
right?
always trying to wrestle him. It's just weird and weird times to do it.
That's what I was gonna say. You like boxing. Do you go around shadow boxing with everybody? Or slap fighting everybody?
No.
So what's he doing? Who are these guys that go along with this? I've seen people going, hey Crawford. I remember who was it? Somebody wanted an interview with him in front of his wife, I think it was. And the guy starts wrestling with Crawford, and Crawford pins him in front of his wife. I'm thinking, this is some weird dynamic going on here. I don't like it. It's bizarre. And I dare say it's unconscionable, unchristian, and unconstitutional. How about that? I stick by that. All right, listen, fellas, we're past the 2-hour mark. Shout out to everybody who called in, everybody who donated via the super chat. Eddie G in the chat says he wrestled with Diddy. Come on, everything's got to go back to Diddy now. That's just the way it works. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody who called in. Shout out to everybody that donated, like I said, with the super chat. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. We'll try to be back on Friday. Nice little Friday show for everybody to preview maybe Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn. Although I get the feeling that over here on this side of the pond, there's not that many people who are into the fight. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us.
And it's a pay-per-view too, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's only $30.
That's
I
fucking
think,
insane.
I know. What do you want from me? It is what it is. And like a degenerate,
Call in some favors, man. Talk to some people, man.
I did enough phone call. I placed enough phone calls to try to get this corrected, man. I can't. There's only so much. There's only so much juice. BDA's got. There's only so far.
So many trees you can shake, huh?
There you go. That's right. All right. Well, listen, Jimmy. Shout out to you for joining us, Gonzalo, Chief, who was here earlier. Like I said, shout out to everybody who called in, everybody who donated the super chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about DJ Big Leg, Let Me Ace, Super Sardonic, King KO, Sate Soda, Gene Ryu Jr. 33, Knockout Ned, Chidlin Distributor, Rapax Trucking Company, ADG. If I forgot anybody, fellas, it's because we gotta go. Shout out to you, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Catch you on the next one, fellas.